So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto and Tmnt Got Harem, so let's start the series. The village of Konoha was in decay and damage because the previous night the nine-tailed fox, a demon of immense power, was let loose and destroyed the village. Many shinobi and others were killed in his rampage, but the greatest loss of life was that of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, and his wife Kushina Uzumaki. However, some people were unaware that Minato and Kushina were not the only victims of the Nine Tails rampage. Instead, they halted the beast by encasing it in the body of their newborn son, Naruto. Regrettably, the sealing killed them. When the bodies were found, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the village's third Kage, made sure Naruto was taken with him. The elderly man was now sitting at his desk in the administration building of the village, with a baby in a crib off to the side. Another elderly man, who was still somewhat younger than Sarutobi in wearing sage clothing, was inside the room and spoke. The elderly man questioned the third, "Are you sure about this, sensei?" "Yes, Jiraiya," Sarutobi said. "It's far too dangerous to let Naruto grow up in the village that will resent him and convince the younger generation to treat him the same, so he's far better off growing up away from all of that. I know, but still, I understand your concern, Jiraiya. But even you are in no position to be looking after a baby with your own spy network to keep watch on potential threats, plus I don't think Kushina would be too thrilled at what growing up under your care could do to her baby," Sarutobi cautioned Jiraiya, whose side meant by that. "Good point." Umbu abruptly appeared in the room and said to the third, "Lord Third, our guest has arrived, send him in," said Sarutobi. Soon after the Umbu disappeared, the door opened and two figures entered. The first was a tall, dark-haired man in a white kimono robe with a gray torso guard and three-toed dragon crests on each shoulder. The second was dressed in a black ninja outfit, with a metal oni mask covering his face and a sword strapped to his back. As the first said, "Good to see you again, Lord Third," the two bowed their heads to the Hokage. Sarutobi gestured to the man wearing a mask and said, "Orokusaki, good to see you as well, even you, Hattori Tatsu," to which Tatsu replied, "Arigato, Lord Third." Jiraiya was looking at Saki. "Jiraiya, I certainly hope your hunt for research for your novels haven't dwindled your skills. I'll have you know it's my skills that have kept me alive during my research," Jiraiya said with an irritated expression. "Obviously," Saki said in response. "So it's just you two?" asked Sarutobi. Saki exhaled. "Yes, Shun would have come, but she still is in need of rest due to having recently give birth." "Yes, so you've mentioned in your previous letter you were expecting. How is the baby?" "Our little Karai," Saki exclaimed joyfully, "she's beautiful." "So a daughter, huh?" inquired Jiraiya inquisitively. "Yes," Saki replied. "We have faith she will grow into a fine shinobi of the Foot Clan," Sarutobi stated. "Here's hoping," before getting right to the point. "Now then, you know why we've summoned you here especially of all times?" "Yes, the Nine Tails has broken free from Kushina's seal and ran amok," Saki responded. "Judging from the state of the village, it wasn't so easy to restrain," Tatsu said. "I'm afraid not, but this is the real reason I called you here," Sarutobi said, gesturing toward the crib. The blonde infant was sleeping when Saki and Tatsu went inside. "So this is Minato and Kushina's boy?" Saki said. "Yes, meet Naruto," Saki observed. "He does look like their child." Saki responded to Sarutobi's question, "Indeed, now since you read my letter what is your answer?" "You wish for me to take Naruto with me back to the Dragon Village for his own safety, correct?" when the damage here is restored and the villagers have their time to mourn, they will eventually turn their anger and hatred towards Naruto because of the nine-tailed fox that now resides within him. There is only so much I can do for the boy while keeping check on the whole village, especially with my old teammates and even Danzo breathing down my neck. You were very close friends with Minato and Kushina whenever you came to visit our village with your father. Yes, they were indeed my best friends, and I would do anything for them, even give my own life for theirs, Saki murmured, remembering those pleasant times. The Hokage asked, then you have an answer? Saki replied, yes, I will look after Naruto and raise him as my own, and I know Shin wouldn't mind having another to call her child. Thank you, Sarutobi said with a smile. But sir, there remains a problem, Tatsu said. The village will know Naruto isn't really your child, Sarutobi responded, yes, but all that can be fixed, as he rose from his desk and moved toward the crib. He placed a hand on Naruto's forehead and focused. Suddenly, Naruto's blonde hair changed to a dark black color similar to Saki's. Excellent, Saki replied, now no one, not even the village of Konoha will realize it. Sarutobi replied, you two had best take Naruto and go while you can without anyone else knowing. We'll keep in touch on Naruto's progress as he grows. Understood, Saki said, looking down at the youngster as he carefully lifted the infant and hugged him close. Jiraiya couldn't help but sniffle as they left the office, and Sarutobi noticed. There, Jiraiya, it's not really goodbye, after all, he said. Jiraiya wiped his eyes and added, I know, good luck, Naruto, thought Sarutobi, who couldn't help but feel depressed himself. Saki and Tatsu left Konoha by crossing the Land of Fire's boundary and then heading north to Dragon Village. On his way back, Saki and Tatsu strolled through the village as a number of their shinobi, dressed in black ninja outfits and masks, bent their heads to him as he went by. They were wearing headbands with the three-toed dragon's insignia on the metal plates. Tatsu said, Master, I should get back to my post, while you head home. Saki said, yes, off you go, Tatsu, and Tatsu disappeared. Saki went home and went into the bedroom, where he saw a stunning woman with long black hair relaxing. Shen, he said. Welcome home, Saki, said the woman who went by Shen, grinning at her husband. As he showed her Naruto, Saki remarked, I brought back some company that I think you'll be happy to see. When Shen saw him, her eyes glowed with delight. Saki, he's so beautiful, she said. Saki clarified, he's Minato and Kushina's, he is. Saki started to tell her everything Sarutobi had told him, saying, yes, there's so much I have to tell you. Shin sighed sorrowfully, oh, my goodness, Minato and Kushina, yes, they're gone, and their son is all that's left of their legacies. Sarutobi requested we raise him as our own for his safety. I hope that won't be a problem. Holding Naruto close, Shin grinned and said, none at all, I would be honored to be the mother of our best friend's child, and now, I have both a daughter and a son. Saki said, speaking of whom, as he turned to face a crib that was close up. He took Naruto and led him to the crib where a baby girl with black hair on her head was. Naruto, this is Karai, she will be your new sister. Karai, this is your new brother Naruto, Saki said, setting Naruto down beside Karai as the two infants exchanged glances and grew closer. I think they're going to get along just fine, Saki said, turning to face his wife. He then went over to Shen and lay down beside her while they embraced. Although Naruto is unaware of it now, he was destined to accomplish great things in the years to come and, fortunately, won't be by himself. Oroku Saki was reviewing some paperwork at his workstation in the administration building of Dragon Village when a foot ninja materialized in front of him. "Lord Saki," he exclaimed in a panic. "What is it?" Saki asked, glancing up at his ninja. To which the ninja said, "We have a situation, sir." "What is the problem?" was queried with worry to get Saki's attention. "It's Naruto and Karai, sir." Saki's concern abruptly subsided and she looked irritated. "What have they done this time?" she asked. As this was going on, 2-foot ninja were chasing Naruto and Karai, both of whom were now 12, down the streets of the village. They were itching their bodies as though they had fleas or something. A male version of Karai's outfit was worn by Naruto, who had grown his black hair to his shoulders and kept the whisker markings on his cheeks from when he was a newborn. Karai had amber eyes, black hair that was blonde in the back with an angled bob and long ear tails, and a very athletic body. She wore a black form-fitting jumpsuit along with silver armor, traditional Japanese shoes, and a purple belt. One of the ninja yelled at the children, "Naruto! Karai! You two get back here at once," but Naruto laughed and retorted, "Catch us, and we will." Before the foot ninja came and rushed along the streets after them, the two went around a corner. They were unaware that the siblings had blended into a building wall using camouflage wallpaper. Slipping itching powder into the ninjas' uniforms, Karai laughed. "Naruto, your cleverness never ceases to amaze me." Naruto laughed. "I'm just that good, Karai," a voice asked from behind the two. "Is that so?" The two siblings jumped as they noticed a big man standing directly behind them. He had long red hair, a beard, and a blue robe with a golden scaly snake design all over it. "Kon-sensei!" both of them exclaimed. Kon shook his head in disappointment and said, "Up to your mischievous antics once again, you two?" Naruto said, "They're really more like hair-brained schemes," with a worried smile. "I don't care what you call them." Kon said with rage, "Honestly, I would have thought the children of our village leader would be more behaved than this." "We behave," argued Karai. Naruto scoffed, "But that doesn't mean we can't have fun, now can we? Just get back to the academy before I have you stay afterward," Kon said, complaining. Together, the siblings said, "Yes, sir," and then they followed the stranger. "My lord, your children have been caught by Master Kon, who is escorting them back to the academy," said Saki as another foot ninja materialized in front of her back at the administration building. Saki remarked, "Good, you're dismissed," as the two departed. After he was by himself, he grinned to himself as like he was trying to control something, and then burst out laughing at his children's antics. Underscore 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 underscore. When Naruto and Karai appeared in front of their classmates at the village academy later, Kon was by their side. "Now that Naruto and Karai have returned, we can resume today's lesson. Both of you take your seats," Kon said. The two said, "Yes, sensei," and then sat down together. At the end of the table they were seated at was a boy their age who had a thin ponytail of his blonde hair, black boots, black pants, a gray shirt, and a long coat without sleeves. He looked very muscular despite his youthful build. He addressed the pair, "Busted again, huh?" When Naruto said, "Took them a lot longer to catch us this time, hun," so what did you do this time? We snuck into the foot ninjas' locker rooms and filled their uniforms with itching powder, Karai said. They were scratching so much you'd think they stepped in poison ivy, Naruto chuckled. Good, now, who here can tell us the history behind the founding of our village? Yes, Naruto. Kon yelled, as the three became silent. Well, sensei, it all dated back more than 1500 years ago, says Naruto. It started with one man, the dreaded Koga Takuza. He was said to be one of the greatest warriors in the history of the ninja lands. His skill with the blade was said to be greater than even the samurais of the land of iron. Takuza stole the sacred totems of his fallen enemies and fused them into an alloy stronger than steel. That alloy would be forged to create the legendary armor of the Shredder. With his skills and armor, Takuza took in people who lost their way in life and gave them a new purpose by training them to become foot ninja. Soon they built the village on this land that was rumored to have been a former mating ground for dragons. The crest he chose to represent our village was the three-toed dragon symbol. Very good, Naruto, Kon said. And who can tell us where the armor of the Shredder resides? Karai, the armor of the Shredder is under the care of the village leader himself, for only a strong, courageous, and caring leader is worthy enough to wear it, said the child. Correct, Kon said with a nod. They really nailed it, Naruto and Karai said, overhearing their peers whispering. What do you expect from the children or Lord Orokusaki? In response, Naruto and Karai rolled their eyes. Although they were not embarrassed to be identified as the village leader's children, they preferred to be commended for their own abilities and for being authentically themselves rather than for their ancestry. Hey, you two wanna grab some food before heading home? Hun ran up to the siblings as they were leaving the academy after school. Sure, might as well have a good meal before we go home to Mom who'll nag us until Dad gets home, replied Karai. Naruto remarked, so let's go, pulling the two with him. The three of them were eating when they soon came to a food stand. Karai said, honestly, Naruto, how can you eat so much ramen, as she turned to face Naruto, who was devouring a bowl of ramen. Naruto gagging, hey, I don't eat it all the time, besides you know Mom likes to slip veggies in my food, Karai answered, I'm just glad you don't puke it up. Now this is what it's all about, right you guys? Having a good meal with your closest friends, Hun said with a sigh of relief. True, concurred Naruto, hey, you think we'll still be this close after graduation? Hun responded. Karai questioned, why do you say that, Hun? You know once we become full-fledged ninjas things won't always be the same as they were. You got a point, Naruto acknowledged, but still, just because we'll be ninjas doesn't mean we won't stop being friends, Hun replied, recalling the memory. I hope so. I'd hate to lose you guys. You were the first friends I ever made at the academy, as the siblings also recalled. Even younger Naruto and Karai were having a good time at the Ninja Academy a few years ago when they heard yelling. They turned to see that several of their classmates were hiding and moving aside as a younger Hun passed by. The classmates were terrified of Hun's size and intimidating appearance, and the two were very worried about how hurt the boy appeared as they watched him in terror. Everyone else sought to seat as far away from Hun as possible, but in class they chose to join him at the desk he occupied. Mind if we join you? Naruto asked Hun. Hun said, well, no, but why would you want to sit here and next to me, after giving Naruto and Karai a perplexed look. Karai questioned, well, why wouldn't we? Hun remarked dejectedly, nobody here likes me, they look at me like I'm some kind of freak. Naruto questioned bewilderedly, freak? Just because you're big and strong? Hun gestured to their frightened peers, that's how everyone here sees me." Karai frowned at her classmates, saying, "Well, then they're just a bunch of idiots, for their lack of tact." Hun inquired, "What do you mean?" "So what if you're bigger and stronger looking than them," quips Naruto, "you think that makes you any different from them?" "Because it doesn't, everybody here is different for one reason or another." "He's right," said Karai, "you are who you are, not what others make you out to be." "You really mean that?" Hun said, amazed by their warm remarks. Naruto nodded. "We do, thank you," he said with a smile. "I'm Naruto, and this is my sister Karai." Karai said, "Nice to meet you." He introduced himself as, "I'm Hun," and the three grinned, forming a relationship. "Guys, let's make a pact, no matter what happens, we'll always be friends," Naruto said after the three friends grinned at the recollection. Hun and Karai replied, "Agreed," while savoring their meal. Underscore 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 underscore. A very strict mother welcomed Naruto and Karai when they got home, asking, "What were the two of you thinking?" "It was just a joke, Mom," Naruto said, flinching at Shin's harsh tone. Karai continued, "And in a way it was like training." Shin crossed her arms and asked, "How do you call pranking the foot ninja training?" "We were able to slip in without them knowing until the prank was sprung," Naruto said. "And we avoided capture longer than our previous exploits," Karai declared. As they turned to see Saki, a familiar voice said, "That may be so. However, real ninja wouldn't let themselves get caught by anyone," he said, referring to Khan catching them. The siblings said, "Yes, father," feeling ashamed. "However, I commend you two on your performance. Your stealth moves have greatly improved. Keep this up and I may be in trouble should one of you try to assassinate me," Saki said with a chuckle. Karai posed the rhetorical question, "Where would be the honor in assassinating our own father?" "I can't believe you're actually encouraging their juvenile behavior," Shin said to her husband in shock. "Shin, need I remind you that you weren't exactly Miss Perfect yourself?" Saki laughed. "Touché," Shin said, blushing in shame. "But I want the two of you to behave yourselves. Graduation isn't far off, and I want the two of you to be at the peak of your strengths when it happens," Saki said, glaring at his kids. Naruto said, "You can count on us, Dad." Saki arched a brow before the thought, "Why don't the two of you come with me, there's something I want to show you," occurred to her. The siblings followed their father upstairs, intrigued, and Shin watched, knowing what her husband would do. Saki approached a cabinet and pulled the doors open to reveal an armored suit with blades on the shoulder pads, arms, legs, and two longer blades on the left gauntlet. Armor from 2003 episode The Shredder Strikes Parts 1 and 2, and Naruto and Karai followed him into his private training room, which the two were only permitted to enter with permission. The two brothers were in awe of the armor when they saw it. "That's," Naruto started, and Karai concluded, "the armor of the Shredder." Saki said, "Yes, beautiful, isn't it?" to his kids. As he reveled in the sight of the armor, Naruto remarked, "Words alone cannot do it justice." As Naruto stated in class, "It was forged by our village founder himself so many years ago," Karai reiterated. "Correct, and it has survived undamaged to this very day," Saki said. "Then the alloy that Takuza made it from really is stronger than steel," Naruto thought. Karai asked, "But why show us this, father?" To motivate you too, Saki responded. The clan's founder was one of the greatest ninjas in the world. His forging of this armor was through skill, dedication, and effort. I know the two of you will make names for yourselves eventually as well. I am confident you will. Thank you, father, the two said, bowing their heads. Come, let's prepare dinner together with your mother, Saki said, clinging to them and shaking their heads. The two said, yes, as they hurried downstairs before their father, who shut the armor cabinet and came after them. Saki, I know this is sudden, but Naruto has grown so well under our care, but I think it's time he knew the truth, Shin said to her husband as they got ready for bed that evening. As the two went to bed, Saki remarked, I won't deny you're right, Shin, but I must wait until after graduation. I don't want to burden him with this secret kept from him. I understand, Shin responded, I just hope when he knows he won't think any less of us. Naruto is a good kid, if he's anything like Minato or Kushina given time he will understand, Saki said with a smile. The two cuddled before going to sleep. Naruto was performing night training one evening in the Oroku home using the wooden dummies and additional training aids. Karai had been secretly observing him during his training, being careful not to reveal herself. She was awestruck by her brother's form with every move he made, but it wasn't the typical sibling awe, rather, it was something much more. She blushed as she watched him, and when she realized what was happening, she ran and went back to her room. What was that about? Why did I suddenly get this warm feeling over watching Naruto train? I've never felt that way before about him in the past, and my heart is pounding like crazy. Wait a minute, could this be love? No. No, it can't be that. Naruto's my brother, I can't be having feelings for him, I'm just losing it. Come on, Karai, pull it together, tomorrow's the academy finals, and I can't lose my focus, she said, leaning against her door and panting. There, that should do it. Tomorrow for the academy finals, they're gonna be in for a shock when they discover this secret weapon Dad introduced me to, Naruto said after finishing his evening training and drinking some water. He then went to bed. Underscore 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 underscore. Hun was waiting for Naruto and Karai when they arrived outside the Foot Academy the following morning. Morning, you two, he said. Morning, Hun, said Karai. Naruto asked, how are you feeling this morning? Very nervous, but I'll manage. What about you two? Never been better, replied Karai. Naruto said, I'm actually stoked, I expected as much from you guys, Hun laughed. Come on, let's go inside before Kon-sensei decides to write us up as tardy. Technically he can't because there's still some time before class begins, Karai responded. Naruto said, knowing sensei, he'll come up with an excuse, and the three of them laughed. Good day, students, Kon said as he entered the classroom after the pupils had taken their places. The students responded, good day, Kon-sensei, today will be the last day of class for you all, hopefully, he said. For today you will be put to the test to see how much you have learned during your studies here, and if you are ready to join the ranks of the Foot Shinobi, the pupils said, yeah, with excitement. Kon commanded the students to stop talking and then cleared his throat. Follow me, he said, leading them from the classroom into a training room. You will be trained in two elements, strength and stealth. The first test of strength is you will each be facing one of the foot's ninjas. If you pass the first one, then you will move on to the next one. Let's begin, Khan said. Khan then yelled, Orika Karai, as each pupil was summoned up one at a time to spar against a foot member. Go get him, Naruto muttered to Karai as she stood up. She returned the whisper, thanks, as she positioned herself on the mat and her opponent did the same. Before they fought in hand-to-hand combat, the two bowed their heads in respect. Karai blocked every move her opponent made before retaliating, then she executed a sweep kick to knock him off his feet. Khan said to the foot ninja, "You're out," and said to Karai, "Good," to which Karai replied with a smile before approaching the other pupils who had completed the first exam and saying, "Oriku Naruto." After Naruto blocked his opponent's attacks and gained some distance, he said, "Time for some tag team, ninja art, shadow clone jutsu," as a second Naruto emerged in a puff of smoke. Naruto and his opponent both bowed their heads as they entered the mat. "Shadow clone?" inquired his adversary. Naruto said, "That's right, this bad boy is solid, and not an illusion," as he and his clone battled the foot ninja and sent him crashing into the wall with a double flying kick. Khan yelled, "You're out," and smirked as he turned to Naruto. "Nicely done," he said. "Shadow clone. That's what you've been working on with father?" she inquired, and Naruto grinned as he joined his sister and the others. "Aha, but I just wished I had to face more opponents, because one shadow clone isn't all I'm capable of," replied he. Karai questioned, "You can make more, with a start?" Naruto grinned and said, "Oh, yeah, until they noticed Hun being summoned." By combining his physical might with his ninja reflexes, Hun was able to subjugate and dodge his opponent, earning him a pass. "Well done, you've all successfully completed the first phase of your test, but now comes the test of stealth, Naruto, you come with me," Khan said as Naruto followed him into another room after the others had soon finished their first test. A mannequin in a foot uniform was set up, and Naruto noticed that numerous bells, both large and little, were attached throughout. "You have 15 seconds, remove as many of the bells as you can, one sound and you fail," Naruto said. "Is that all?" inquired Naruto. He held up a smoke bomb and said, 15 seconds, go." He then dropped the smoke bomb to unleash the contents that were obscuring the room. "No, there's one more thing, we work in concealment," he said. Khan listened intently for any ringing and watched the stopwatch. After 15 seconds, he stopped it. The smoke dissipated, and his eyes opened as he saw Naruto standing in front of him holding all the bells. Khan grinned as Naruto rhetorically questioned, "Is this enough?" "Very impressive, Naruto, you are the first of your class to pass with flying colors." Naruto bowed his head to his teacher, who reciprocated by saying, "Thanks, Khan-sensei." While waiting outside, Naruto noticed a number of his classmates emerge with joyful expressions, suggesting that they had also passed like him. However, Naruto was only worried about 2 individuals, hoping they would pass similarly to him. Then he saw Karai emerge, grinning, and he called, "Karai." As they embraced, Karai yelled back, "Naruto." Together, they said, "You passed?" "Of course," and chuckled at the stereo they were creating. Naruto grinned and said, "This is so great." Karai said, "Yeah, father will be so proud of us," as he hurried forward and gave the two a bone-crushing group hug. Hun exclaimed, "Hey, you guys." After the tight embrace, Naruto moaned, "Hey, Hun, you passed too." Hun remarked, "You know it, I'm so glad we all passed, after disappointing the two. Soon Khan appeared. Attention, students, you all passed the test of the foot, I am very proud of you, bowing his head. Now then, you will return here tonight at the sound of the gong, go forth and revel in your success. The students said, yeah, and hurried to inform their homes. Lord Saki, Khan has just given me the results of the academy students' final tests, Tatsu said to his master as he entered the office at the administrative building. Good, let me see, Saki said as Tatsu gave him the results. Saki first examined the student results before seeing his children's results. I knew you two could do it, he thought to himself as he grinned. Underscore 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 underscore. After racing home, Naruto and Karai rushed inside and yelled, Mom! My goodness, you two are home early, Shin said as she entered the foyer and noticed them. Karai started, Mom, you'll never guess what happened, but Shin responded, let me guess, you both passed. How did you know? Inquired Naruto. She laughed and said, I'm a mother, I know these things, right, was their response. Karai was excited to inform her father about this and exclaimed, just wait till father hears about this. Shin replied, actually, by now he already does. Naruto remarked, I wish he was here to tell us how he feels. They were pleased when Shin reassured them, believe me, you'll see him soon. Underscore 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 underscore. When nightfall arrived, Shin left the house, and Naruto and Karai were pacing the village when they heard a gong ring. Understanding what that meant, the two left their house and returned to the academy, where they met Hun and the other students. Hun pondered, I wonder how they're going to do this. Naruto answered, we'll know soon enough, Tatsu-sensei. Karai exclaimed in shock as Tatsu suddenly materialized in front of them. We're ready for you now, follow me, Tatsu said as he escorted the graduates into the academy. However, he startled them by opening a trap door in the floor, so they followed him down nervously. They then entered a chamber where they noticed numerous other foot shinobi, including Tang Shen, as well as the other graduates' parents and families higher up in the balconies. Master Shredder, Tatsu said, bowing his head and moving the portion of the cape covering his right shoulder to reveal his bladed shoulder pad, and the same for his left shoulder so that neither shoulder was covered by the cape. Roll it out, Tatsu ordered the foot ninja as they rolled out a red carpet in honor of their master. The graduates stopped when they saw a figure approaching, and as it got closer, it was revealed to be Oroku Saki wearing the shredder armor and a black cape that covered his shoulders and dragged around a bit behind him. Tatsu gave his master a headband with a metal plate bearing the foot crest on it. The first graduate came forward and knelt in front of him. As Saki tied the headband around the student's head, he spoke to the graduates. After they had finished rolling it out, they repositioned themselves with Khan and the other foot ninja. You make us all proud, only effort, discipline, and loyalty earn you the right to wear the village headband. You are now members of the foot, this is your family, and I am not only your leader, but your father as well, Saki said, as the graduate bowed his head and moved to the side, followed by the other students one by one. "Money cannot buy the honor that you have all earned today," Saki said. "Even though our village is a minority compared to the 5 great nations, we are all a proud clan, and together we shall continue to show the ninja land the Foot are not a clan to underestimate. From this day forward you shall all serve your village and put your life on the line to protect it and your comrades. I give you the graduates of the Foot," said their father, grinning beneath his mask as Naruto and Kurai approached him and put their headbands on them before joining the others. "Long live the Foot," a number of ninja cheered. "I'm so proud of the both of you," Shin said as she embraced her children, and the grad's parents walked down to individually congratulate them on their passing, marking the start of the celebration. Saki responded, "As am I," as he walked forward and took off his helmet to display his proud expression. "Thank you, father," exclaimed Kurai and Naruto. Saki said, "Now how about we go home and have a big dinner?" Naruto grinned and said, "That's what I'm talking about. Underscore 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 Naruto, Kurai, and their parents had just finished a delicious supper at their house. After cleaning up, Naruto asked Kurai, "How do I look wearing this headband?" "You pull it off well," acknowledged Kurai. "Thanks, you do too." The two exchanged a smile before Saki yelled, "Kurai and Naruto, would you both please come here?" Curiously, the two of them made their way to their parents' room, where Saki and Shin were waiting. "Is something wrong?" Kurai inquired. "You two sit down," Shin said, "there are things we need to talk about." Saki said, "Naruto, these matters we need to discuss concern you the most," as Naruto and Kurai sat in front of their parents. "Me?" With concern, Naruto inquired. "Naruto, there's no easy way for me to say this, but you are not really our child," Saki said into Shin's eyes after she nodded. The alleged siblings were shocked when Saki spoke those remarks, but none more so than Naruto, who was enjoying his graduation day and was about to have this bomb dumped on him. After hearing what his alleged father had just said, Naruto stood in complete disbelief in front of Saki and Shin. "Wait a minute, back it up, you're telling me the two of you aren't my parents? Isn't Naruto my brother?" Shocked, Kurai begged her parents. Shin affirmed, "We're afraid so, how is this even possible?" Naruto insisted, "This was 12 to 13 years ago Naruto when I brought you home with me the night you were born," Saki said. "What took place?" With a dubious squint, Naruto asked, "Well, Naruto, for starters you were not born here in the village, you were born the village of Konoha," Saki said. "Konoha?" Surprised, Naruto inquired, "Correct, your parents were Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, Namikaze? Uzumaki?" The youngster kept asking until he realized something about the past. "Wait a minute, Minato Namikaze was Konoha's 4th Hokage, and I'm actually a Hokage's son." "That's right," Saki replied, "that night all those years ago your parents died defending the village from the legendary 9-tailed fox, though it could not be killed, your father instead sealed the demon away in your body at the cost of his own life, your mother herself sacrificed herself just to protect you, they did?" Before posing another query, Naruto questioned, "So, how did I end up here?" "I was summoned to Konoha by the village's 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, who asked that I take you in and raise you as my own outside Konoha, and for a real good reason, Why is that? The kid and Karai both kept wondering. Having the 9 tails sealed inside you is news that would eventually spread like wildfire among the people, and once they have mourned the loss of anyone they might have lost in the destruction, they would have turned their anger out on you and even try to have you assassinated for just having the 9 tails sealed inside you. What would they do? Naruto let out a gasp. However, why would anyone think of doing that, especially to a child? Karai inquired bewilderedly. Shin soothed her child and clarified, people say and do things such as that out of grief and anger. Emotions can make people do terrible things to others, especially if they need a scapegoat to take anything like anger and hate out on. Minato and Kushina wouldn't have wanted you to live that kind of life, Naruto. Not even the third Hokage would let that happen, so I've been living a lie all this time. After asking, Saki and Shin embraced Naruto. Naruto, you may not have had such a happy beginning, but look at where you stand, Saki said. You are a wonderful son, and a fine ninja. I couldn't have asked for anything better than that in a boy, blood or not. I feel the same way, Shin replied. Family isn't always defined by blood, Naruto. It's the bonds you share with those special and close to you that make you feel like family, even if not by blood. Always remember that. Naruto still had a lot of questions and thoughts racing through his head, but he knew his adoptive parents were correct. The fact that this was his family blood meant that it didn't matter whose son he was. He simply hugged the two adults and sobbed into their shoulders, with Karai joining in. Underscore 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 underscore. Afterwards, Naruto was still contemplating what he had just learned while he washed up in the family onsen. I don't believe this. All this time I've been not just the kid of a village leader and hero, but I have a demon imprisoned inside me. How could I have missed it? One day, I'm going to have to go look for more information about this whole situation. The door opened abruptly, and he heard footsteps approaching. He turned to stare at Karai, who was wearing a towel and was barefoot. Karai. He let out a gasp. Naruto, is there room for another? Before settling into the bathtub beside Naruto, she inquired, why are you in this room? Shocked, Naruto asked, taking a bath of course, she said as if it were insignificant. But you know I'm here. What the heck? It's not like we haven't done this before, she said rhetorically. Well, yeah, but that was before. Did I know we weren't actually siblings before? Naruto, we were raised together, we played together, we trained together. Do you suddenly remember none of that? Karai said, causing Naruto to turn to face her. Naruto responded, of course not. As Karai went on. We may not be siblings by blood, but I still feel close to you than ever, not just because we were raised as siblings, but because we're friends. I know things won't be the same now that we know the truth, but don't let this affect how we feel. But you're right, Karai, I apologize for my awkwardness. With everything that's happened and learning about my birth, I just have so many things on my mind, Naruto said, smiling at Karai. But you're right, this new revelation doesn't change the fact you and I are friends and nothing will come between us, he said, acknowledging that even though they are not blood siblings, they are still friends and that nothing could separate them. Wow, this feels even better than a sibling hug, and looking at Karai now, I'm starting to see how much prettier she is now and soft. Whoa, back up. Don't start thinking about her that way. "Oh, I said it wouldn't be awkward, but this is something I'm gonna have to try and deal with," Naruto thought as she smiled and gave her brother a hug in return. In her own words, Karai said, "I always felt Naruto was more than a sibling to me, and now that I know we're not blood related, this could mean there's a chance something more could be there between us, at least if he feels the same." After taking a bath, the two eventually went to bed. Underscore 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 underscore. The following day, all of the graduated foot ninja made their final appearance at the academy. "Guys! Guys!" exclaimed Hun as Naruto and Karai walked in. "Morning, Hun," said Karai. Hun showed them the tattoo of a purple dragon that was wrapped around his left arm. "Look what I got last night," he said. When Naruto said, "Wow, nice tat, it's a rite of passage in my family," Hun said. "Once a member of my family becomes a ninja, we wear the mark of the dragon with pride." "Well," Naruto said confidently, grinning at him, "we know you'll wear it well." Hun said, "Thanks," before they sat down. Khan came into the room and said, "Welcome, everyone, as of this moment you are no longer my students, but are foot shinobi of the village. I'm proud to have been your instructor, and now I watch you go off and do the village proud in the name of the foot. For my final act as your teacher I will be pairing you off in teams of 3 under the command of a Jonin foot ninja." As Khan began enumerating teams and names, the kids were intrigued. He said, "Team Kappa shall consist of Oroku Naruto," and Naruto's head sprang up in wonder at who he would be matched with. "Oroku Karai," he said. When the last name was called, and Hun, the 3 best friends were on the same team, and Hun looked happy. "Your commanding leader shall be Hattori Tatsu," Karai said as she glanced up, and the siblings smiled at one another. After exchanging glances, Naruto said, "I'm good with it." Karai said, "Tatsu is already like an uncle to us." Hun said, "This is awesome knowing we're still together." As a result, Khan kept calling out names and teams until everyone was called. A few higher-ranked foot ninja arrived within an hour to take their designated teams, and Tatsu soon followed, intimidating the remaining pupils. As one kid whispered to another, "That's really him." "Hattori Tatsu," muttered another. "He's one of the best shinobi in our village," Tatsu exclaimed. "Team Kappa, come with me," as Han, Karai, and Naruto got up and followed him out of the classroom. "Now then, normally introductions are in order, but it's safe to say we all know each other very well," Tatsu said as the 4 sat on a rooftop. "Got that right, uncle," concluded Naruto. "Naruto," Tatsu said seriously, "while we may be close like family, you will address me as sensei when we're on the job. Do I make myself clear?" "Yes, sir," replied Naruto, who knew better than to offend his new leader. "Good, from this moment on we are a team. The missions we do from this point on will require trust, loyalty, teamwork, and cooperation." The 3 of them bowed their heads in unison as they said, "Hi, sensei." Tatsu stated, "Then, starting tomorrow, we begin our first mission. I'll see you all until then," before disappearing. Hun pondered, "I wonder what sort of missions we'll be doing." Naruto hoped, "Hopefully something exciting. Try not to get your hopes up this high too early, boys," Karai said. "I mean, do you honestly think we'll be starting real dangerous missions when we just graduated?" "Well, why don't we go grab a bite, huh?" Naruto shrugged. We can hope. Hun concurred, works for me, as Karai rolled her eyes and followed the boy's example. Underscore 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 underscore. Shin was waiting for them when they got home. So how did it go? She asked. Karai exclaimed with enthusiasm, we're on the same team. Naruto continued, sounding as excited, and with our friend Hun as well. Shin was beaming. That's wonderful, I'm so happy for you too, and I know your father will be too. Shin herself was happy that even after learning the truth, Naruto still regarded her as his mother. Thanks Mom, Naruto replied, still finding it strange that Shin wasn't actually his mother but that he was reared by her and that she was the only mother he had ever had. Saki's kids were waiting for him when he got home. Evening, Naruto, Karai, I assume team placements went well. Well, you obviously had a part in it, didn't you? Naruto asked, as the two frowned. I may have had some influence in the choosing, but really Tatsu wanted the two of you together, as well as Hun, Saki acknowledged. Well, we're glad to be on the same team with each other and Hun, said Karai. I'm glad to hear it, and I have a final gift for the two of you on successfully becoming shinobi. Naruto and Karai were intrigued, so they inquired, what is it? Saki encouraged them to follow, saying, come with me, these swords have been in the family for 300 years, they were crafted by the master Tusher Kuwahara, it is said within the forging. Saki said as he pulled out two swords in scabbards and showed them to his children after the two followed their father into the dojo room and opened the cabinet that held the shredder armor. Kuwahara folded the metal over 700 times, Naruto said in awe. Karai concluded, to remove any impurities, sounding equally as shocked. Yes, Saki replied, you both really do know your history, I wish the two of you to have them. Their question was, really? Aha, I can think of no better wielders than my own children, thank you, father, the two said with a smile. The two of them unwrapped the sword Saki had given them to admire the artistry of the blades. They certainly go well together with you too, Saki grinned. Like they were made for us, Karai continued, putting her weapon away. Naruto said, we'll use them well, father, I know you will, Saki said with a confident nod. Karai, let's be the best shinobi the village has ever seen, Naruto said, turning to face her. Yeah, Karai said. When Naruto extended his hand, Karai embraced him instead, startled, but also reciprocated the gesture. Saki noticed Karai's actions and thought that telling her the truth about Naruto must have caused her to feel something different. He and Shin would need to monitor this going forward. Saki was at his desk when Naruto and his team arrived at the administration building one afternoon. Mission accomplished, sir, Tatsu informed Saki. Saki grinned triumphantly and said, excellent, before turning to face Naruto, who didn't appear particularly joyful. Naruto, is something wrong? Saki said. He remembered when Karai pushed him, well, I mean, my lord, not to question you or anything, but are we ninja or are we charity workers? Tatsu reprimanded him, Naruto, but Saki silenced the sensei by raising his hand. Explain yourself, Saki allowed Naruto to say. We've been at this ninja thing for a week and a half now, and all these missions you've been giving us is charity work, Naruto said. Helping with gardening, shopping, catching stray cats, doesn't really sound like stuff the foot shinobi should be doing. A mission is a mission, Naruto, Tatsu responded, and as newbie shinobi all graduates have to start with D-rank missions. Only with further training and experience with these low-level missions can you move up to higher rank ones. Naruto breathed deeply. Makes sense, but it just doesn't feel like it's doing me anything. Saki looked up. I see. Well, in that case perhaps something should be done, Kurai responded. What do you mean? Because she and Hun thought Naruto's interrogation was putting them all in danger. As it so happens, I have been keeping in contact with the third Hokage of Konoha, and is impressed with this year's graduates of our village. He would actually like a team to come to the village and appear at the Konoha Academy to give their students a demonstration and a challenge. I was planning on asking another team, but we'll take it, was Naruto's prompt response. Hun cautioned him, Naruto, you can't just make that decision. Hun is correct, Tatsu responded. As captain I make the calls on the missions for us. With hope, Naruto questioned, and? Tatsu said, we'll accept the mission, turning to Saki. Saki grinned and said, good, turning to face his kids and their buddy. You all need to go home, gather your belongings, and be prepared for the day. The three said, hi. Saki said, you're all dismissed, dismissing everyone. Can you believe we're finally being allowed to leave the village? Asked Naruto as the three of them walked out of the building. And to one of the 5 great nations too, replied Hun. Kurai said, it'll definitely be something to look forward to, especially for me, said Naruto, I'm finally going to see the village I was actually born in. Kurai reached out and placed a hand on his shoulder, saying, Naruto, with concern. Naruto gave her a grin, don't worry, I won't let anything there make me think differently about my life here, it better not, the last thing any of us needs is you wanting to live there, Kara said sharply. Please, like I'd give up all this for a village I have little to no memories of ever being in, he joked. After saying, good to hear, Kurai resumed her smile, and the three left for their individual homes. Underscore 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 underscore. Okay. Now that everyone's here, let's get moving, said Team Kappa as they met Tatsu at the village entrance early the following morning. The squad then left the hamlet. The trip went quickly, requiring only a few pauses before reaching the gates of Konoha. The 4 of them presented themselves to the 2 guards as they neared the gates in order to be allowed access. The 2 guards said to themselves, Foot Ninja, this ought to be interesting, Kotetsu, as they continued. Kotetsu concurred with the other guard, saying, you could say that again, Izumo. When Team Kappa passed a little noodle stand, Naruto said, Ichiraku ramen, I may have to try this place out, as they observed the houses, stores, food vendors, and everything else in the village. Tatsu informed him, that can be for later, Naruto, as they continued. Hun noticed the 4 stone heads above the Konoha administration building as they approached it. Look, aren't those, he said, trailing off. Kurai replied, the 4 Hokages of Konoha, so he was my birth father, Naruto thought as he glanced up at the 4 heads, concentrating mostly on the head at the far left. He was startled out of his reverie as he followed him and his crew into the building. They noticed Hiruzen Sarutobi at the desk of the Hokage's office and said, Lord Hokage, Hiruzen said, Tatsu, it's been a long time, before turning to face his team. So this is your squad? He asked. Yes, this is Hun, Karai, and Naruto, the elderly guy said. You were just born the last time I saw you. Naruto said, you do look sort of familiar, as he glanced at Hiruzen and began to recall flashbacks of him holding him and putting him in a crib in this very office. I cared for you for a bit until I left you in the care of Orokusai, Hiruzen acknowledged. He and I have been sharing letters about your growth since he took you in. He says you've grown into a fine shinobi. In an optimistic tone, Naruto inquired, Dad really said that? Indeed so, same as you, Karai. I'm so glad you were there for Naruto as both a sibling and a friend. Thank you, sir, Karai said. Even though I realize Naruto and I are not siblings by blood, we're still family. Hiruzen grinned and nodded. I'm glad to hear that. Now on to business. Our students at the Ninja Academy are about ready to graduate, and I was hoping you'd give them a little motivation to help them train and study harder to pass. It would give us good insight to see exactly what the students here have to do to become shinobi, said Karai. Yeah, and see how many of them have real potential, Hun said. Naruto grinned mischievously and said, of course we'll try not to rough them up too much, old man. Today's the day I defeat you and take the position of Hokage. A child wearing a long blue scarf said as the door flew open, and the excitement vanished as soon as the child stumbled over his scarf and fell down on his face. Boo, Hun winced. That was just pitiful, Karai said, gesturing with her head. And embarrassing, said Naruto. Alright, who did that? Who just tripped me? The boy said loudly as he stood up. It was you, wasn't it? He looked to Naruto. Naruto questioned incredulously, excuse me? The boy said, you're the one who tripped me, didn't you? Naruto shot back, kid, you tripped over your own scarf. Don't try and talk your way out, you should have the decency to admit the truth. Sensei, permission to teach this kid a lesson? Naruto asked Tatsu, scowling at the child's demeanor. Tatsu's response, permission denied, caused Naruto to frown. Before addressing the team, Hiruzen firmly remarked, Konohamaru, that's enough. You're being very rude to our guests here. I must apologize for my grandson's horseplay and rudeness, he continued. Hun said, grandson, as the boy spoke with pride. The youngster said, that's right, I'm Konohamaru Sarutobi, the future Hokage of Konoha. And is pitifully trying to assassinate your grandpa. Your plan to reach that goal? Asked Naruto, raising an eyebrow. No. Konohamaru said in order to maintain his dignity. Well, if you want to reach that goal, I suggest you take it more seriously than this, Naruto continued, appealing to Konohamaru's attention. Pulling a stunt like that is just child's play. If you really want to be the leader of this village, you need to be strong, smart, and above all fair and just. And there are no shortcuts to becoming a leader. Take that to heart. Since he was related to the Hokage, this was the first time someone had ever treated him regularly and without bowing and kissing his butt. Huh? Konohamaru said in astonishment, and Naruto's words truly got to him. A man wearing sunglasses stormed into the room and said, Honorable grandson. I'm so sorry about this, Lord Third. Hiruzen responded, it's okay, Ebisu, no harm was done. The man named Ebisu said to the youngster, come on along, Konohamaru, your grandfather has work to do. He groaned and turned to go to the door, but paused to ask Naruto, hey, what's your name? Oroku Naruto, answered Naruto. I'll think about what you told me, Konohamaru said again, Naruto, and left. Now then, where is this academy? Naruto asked the Hokage, grinning at the fact that his words had been understood by the child. One shunshin later, Hiruzen said, I'll take you all there myself, and the group was outside the ninja academy. Kurai inquired, so this is the place. As a male chunin with a scar over the bridge of his nose, Hiruzen acknowledged, correct, adding, ah, Irika, perfect timing, Irika said, good morning, sir, before pointing to Team Kappa. And these must be the foot shinobi you requested to come here, she said. Indeed, everyone, this is Irika Yumino, one of the academy's instructors, Irika, this is Tatsu, Kurai, Hun, and Naruto, Irika said, it's a pleasure to meet you all, Tatsu answered, feelings mutual, because Hiruzen said, I'll leave them in your care, Irika, and then vanished. As he led the gathering inside, Irika stated, come on inside, class is about to start. Underscore 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 underscore. Okay, class, settle down. Before we begin today, we have some very special visitors joining us today, Irika said to his students after directing them to wait outside his classroom. Visitors? Several pupils wanted to know. After Irika said, may I introduce you to Team Kappa, Foot Ninja from the Dragon Village, the door opened, and Team Kappa entered and introduced themselves to the class. Tatsu stood forward and said, greetings students, I am Hattori Tatsu, and this is my squad, I am Oroku Naruto, Naruto said as he introduced himself. Kurai said, I am Oroku Kurai, after which, and I am Hun, concluded Hun. Wait a minute, a girl with pink hair murmured. You mentioned that they're from the Dragon Village? With a, correct, home of the legendary Foot Clan of Ninja, Irika replied. A youngster shouted, hold on, while holding a puppy. They don't look any older than us, and they're already ninja. Irika censured the youngster, saying, Kiba, inside voice, Naruto responded, our final exam was more than a week ago, Kiba questioned incredulously, meaning you guys have already started being ninja before us? Indeed, said Kurai, we were called here to observe and partly teach you guys, a random youngster said, what could we learn from anyone no older than us and who just graduated? Tatsu responded, you'd be surprised at what my students are capable of, is there a reason you're wearing a mask like that? Said a big boy clutching a bag of chips. With his mask taken off, Tatsu revealed his face. I wear it for show, but I really only remove it to give people a hint as to what they're up against, and since you sound so interested, I'll show you, he said. He's blind, a blonde girl with a ponytail said in disbelief. He had a clean-shaved head and a mustache, but what was most startling about him were his blind eyes. A youngster with a pineapple-shaped ponytail questioned, if you're blind, then why wear a mask? It sounds like a drag, in my opinion. He was reprimanded by Irika, Shikamaru, don't be rude, it's quite alright, Irika, Tatsu responded, I'd be more than happy to indulge everyone, you see, children, I was born blind, but with an acute sense of hearing and smell, you might say it's like a sixth sense. My leader and old friend Oroku Saki saw this as a skill when all others mocked me. They said even with my strong sense of hearing and smell I would never make it as a ninja, so I trained for years honing the senses I have and proved them all I had what it took. I worked my way up through the ranks eventually becoming Oroku Saki's number 2 man. And from then on I was known to all as, the blind swordsman. Whoa, a few pupils said in amazement. Looking back at Naruto and Karai, the girl with the pink hair said, Orikusaki. So your leader is, our father, Naruto said on Karai's and his behalf. Kiba questioned in shock, you're the children of your own village leader. Exactly, was Karai's confirmation. I have heard the foot ninja are supposed to be exceptionally well-trained shinobi, said a boy with black hair abruptly. Mr. Naruto trailed off, you heard right, Mr. the boy said, Sasuke Uchiha. Karai and Hun were quite curious, so Naruto said, Uchiha, huh? You know we also heard about your clan as well, naturally gifted prodigies or so we've heard, he said. Is that all you've heard? Sasuke asked, seemingly curious whether they had heard anything else regarding his clan. Naruto responded, it's all that really matters to us, I see, alright, then, the four of you may continue to observe classes, and when we reach the sparring portion of class, you may have your chance to spar with some of the students, as long as you don't go all out, Iruka hesitantly said the final sentence. Tatsu turned to his students, who nodded, and said, don't worry, my students know when to hold back, especially in spars. The four sat apart as Naruto and his group observed that a few of the classmates would occasionally peek in their direction. Naruto was particularly attentive to the boy Sasuke. I wonder how good his skills are, he pondered, the legendary sole survivor of the Uchiha massacre. Perhaps I'll get the opportunity to observe for myself. Some students, mostly from Sasuke, who was still fascinated by what the three of them could do, occasionally glanced at the four as Naruto, Karai, and Hun continued to watch the classes taught by Iruka. Okay, class, time for taijutsu training, everyone outside, Iruka said, as the pupils stood up, trailing behind their teacher and Team Kappa. Iruka turned to the foot ninja and said, okay, as part of the request, Team Kappa will demonstrate their own taijutsu skills against either of you. The team gathered together as he and his students stood by a sparring ring. For this spar it's taijutsu only, I assume that's okay with you three, he said. No problem at all, replied Naruto. Adding, I'm good, Karai, same here, concluded Hun. The instructor said, good, which of you would like to go first? Naruto volunteered, I will, and moved forward. Iruka asked the pupils, and would any of you like to volunteer? I'm in, replied Sasuke as he moved forward. Karai noticed that most of the female students began cheering as soon as he did. Well, looks like I arrived just in time, said a short, white-haired man in the identical Konoha shinobi costume before they could start. Welcome, Mizuki, Iruka said. We were just about to begin taijutsu training with our guests from the Dragon Village. Well, it's nice to meet you all, I am Mizuki, and you all are? Mizuki said, turning to face Team Kappa. Tatsu, Karai, Hun, and I'm Naruto. After giving Naruto a quick glance, Mizuki said, a pleasure, Iruka went on, challengers into the ring now. Sasuke and Naruto positioned themselves in the ring while Naruto said, I look forward to this, to his opponent. So am I, sneered Sasuke. Then Iruka said, Hajime. Subsequently, Naruto and Sasuke fought in hand-to-hand combat. Sasuke attempted to throw strikes, but Naruto ducked and countered with his own move for each one. When Naruto delivered punches and kicks to Sasuke, the Uchiha kid dodged, countered, and received several blows. The females were all cheering up a storm as this was happening, and a few of the male students stared with admiration. Come on, Sasuke. You can do it. Kick his ass. Karai observed that nearly all of the girls were cheering, not out of genuine support, but rather to see if Sasuke would acknowledge them. This infuriated Karai until she noticed a short, pale-eyed, blue-haired girl among the students who was silent but was still paying attention to the game. When Irika called out, "Stop!" the two boys paused as Irika went on, "That's enough, it's clear the both of you are evenly matched, so there's no need for both of you to tire yourselves out more than you already have." The boys had been practicing their skills against each other until they were finally both looking exhausted. "Oh, come on," exclaimed a female who was furious. Another female grumbled, Sasuke was just about to win. Naruto frowned. Irika yelled, "Silence," to silence the girls, then turned to face Naruto and Sasuke. "This spar proved that both of you are certainly skilled in your own styles," she said. "That was a good match, I've never had so much fun before," Naruto said, turning to face Sasuke and holding out his hand. "Same here, but next time we have a match, guarantee it won't be declared a draw," said Sasuke, who first appeared perplexed before grinning and shaking Naruto's hand. Naruto grinned and said, "That's what I'm hoping for," before returning to their sides. "I thought you were great, Naruto," Hun said as Naruto rejoined his crew. "So did I," concurred Karai. Naruto grinned and said, "Thanks, guys," before Tatsu spoke. "That Uchiha boy certainly is quite an opponent, Naruto, I dare say you might have actually met your match," Naruto acknowledged. "He did give me a good workout," as he turned to face Sasuke, who was dismissing the girls' advances. Irika said, "Now let's have some of our kunoichi in training test their skills. Karai, care to give a demonstration?" The girls said, "Of course, but may I choose my opponent?" "If that's what you want, then by all means." Karai glanced at every girl student before focusing on the pale-eyed one and pointing at her. "You," she said. Surprised, the girl said timidly, "Me?" "Yes you," Karai said, "would you offer me the privilege of sparring with you?" The girl murmured anxiously, okay," as she made her way to the sparring ring. One of the females said to the other, "Hinata." "Why'd you pick her?" inquired another female to Karai. With a tone of scorn, someone else questioned, "Are we not worth it to you?" When Karai responded bluntly, truthfully, "Yes," half of the girls looked angry, but unlike most of the boys in Irika's class, Karai was not intimidated in the least. If my observation during Naruto's match with Sasuke proved anything, majority of you girls are just pitiful fangirls who are only focused on trying to make an impression on the class top student, but this girl however I could tell was more focused on the match and not trying to make an impression like some clueless lover girl, Karai said. When Irika cleared his throat and said, "Okay, calm down, everyone," the females were still furious at Karai's beating. Karai said, "What is your name?" to her opponent. "I'm Hinata Hyuga." Karai responded, "I've heard about your clan, masters of the gentle fist art, and holders of the Byakugan eye." Hinata acknowledged, "Yes, that is what we're known for," but she had a dejected expression. As the two stood in the sparring ring, Karai acknowledged, "I'm excited to see what you can do." "Hajime," called Irika. During their hand-to-hand battle, Karai demonstrated her command of the Foot Clan's tactics while avoiding Hinata's blows, but it turned out that the girl was quicker than she looked. As she sidestepped several of Hinata's blows and delivered some of her own, Karai reflected, "This girl is pretty quick and knows exactly where she needs to strike. Good thing I'm slippery." Hinata appeared confident as she entered the fight and pushed herself to the maximum. Kurai, who was enjoying the fight as well, waited until the ideal time to throw her hand out onto Hinata's chest, causing her to fly back and roll onto the ground. Kurai approached Hinata and extended her hand, surprising everyone. "You're good, but you could use more confidence in yourself," Kurai said. "Thank you," Hinata replied as she was lifted to her feet by taking Kurai's hand. Irika praised them both, saying, "Well done." Okay, last but not least, Hun. Most of the kids were scared by Hun's size, so he stepped forward until Chuji came up and said, "I'll be your sparring opponent, really?" Hun inquired in shock. "Believe me, I know," the plump boy clarified, "just because you're big doesn't mean you're not like everybody else." Hun responded, "Well, thank you," while the two prepared. Hajime. As the guys started fighting, Shikamaru went to help Chuji up while Naruto and Kurai praised their teammate. However, in contrast to Hun, Chuji was unable to move his opponent at all. Hun shoved Chuji away and declared forfeit. Telling his friends, "The foot shinobi really are something," Shikamaru, "No kidding," acknowledged Chuji. The girl with the pink hair sneered, "They're nothing compared to my Sasuke," the blonde woman said, "Excuse me, Sakura, you're Sasuke," and the two girls began arguing, which Kurai observed. With attitudes like that towards each other or others, they'll be the first to die on real missions, she warned her fellow soldiers. Naruto concurred, "That's for sure." "Oh, forget them," said Hun. Underscore 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 underscore. Tatsu said to the three, "I have to go give my report to the Hokage. Can I trust the three of you to stay out of trouble?" Team Kappa was the last group to depart as the academy soon opened and the students began to depart for their homes or other destinations. Naruto reminded him, "Tatsu-sensei, this is us you're talking to," their sensei said drearily, "That's what scares me," and then vanished. "Anybody hungry?" Naruto glanced to his friends, and Kurai and Hun couldn't deny it when they heard their tummies growl. The three then proceeded to Ichiraku, the ramen shop they had seen when they first arrived. Naruto remarked, This place is great," while he was enjoying his ramen. "Very tasty," concurred Hun. Adding, "Not bad at all, Kurai, I'm glad to see the three of you enjoying yourselves." Tucci, the chef, responded, "It's nice to see our ramen appreciated by foreigners. Well, you and your daughter make quite a team to make ramen this delicious," Naruto replied. "Thank you, I am," the chef's adolescent daughter, said appreciatively. Tucci asked, "So how long are you three planning on staying in the village?" Naruto acknowledged, "Couple days for the most." "Well, you have a lot to look forward to here," I am replied. Kurai said, "So we've figured." Underscore 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 underscore. When it grew late, the three went to the Konoha Inn to see their sensei. Naruto asked Tatsu, "So how'd it go with the old man?" "All was good. I informed him of your performance at the academy and he's very impressed with all three of you," replied Tatsu. Kurai stated, "That's good news, since we're still set to be here for a few more days, the Hokage suggested you take the time to see more of the village, maybe make some friends while you're at it. Hun said, we can do that, as long as not every girl in this village are like those wannabes at the academy, stated Karai. Obviously most of those girls are just going through that phase, in time they will get over that, Tatsu reassured them. I hope so, because you wouldn't catch me acting like that over a boy, Karai said. Naruto taunted, not in public at least, but Karai punched him in the shoulder instead. Shut up, as they were all getting ready for bed and washing up, Hun stated, come on, let's get some rest, we got plenty to do tomorrow, what's up Karai? Naruto asked as he lay in bed, hearing the door open and seeing Karai enter in a robe. Didn't feel like sleeping alone, Karai replied. May I? With a smile, Naruto said, okay, and shifted aside to give Karai room to join him. So what do you think of Konoha now that you've seen it through a more mature set of eyes? Inquired the youngster. Honestly, it's not so bad, Naruto said. At least for my first day here, won't have a good opinion until I spend another few days here to truly get a good opinion, same, but I'll tell you right now out of all the girls in the academy here only Hinata seems to be more focused on being a ninja, the other girls treat it as if it's a popularity contest, well, like Sensei said, they'll grow out of it hopefully, and if not, whoever they each get as a sensei will hammer the cold truth of what it means to be a ninja into them, Naruto replied with a chuckle. I also feel like Hinata is going through some problems, Karai stated. What do you mean? I could see it on her face even in her eyes, despite my commending her, she felt like she didn't deserve them, and not like she was being modest, but like something's making her feel like she doesn't deserve it. That's interesting, Naruto acknowledged. Perhaps you ought to speak with her before we depart. I may just do that, and you may want to talk to her too at least, why's that? Well, while all the other girls were cheering on Sasuke, she was more focused on you fighting, said Karai. Seriously? A startled Naruto inquired. Oh, yeah, Naruto said, well, maybe I will too, as Karai was speaking. Good night, Naruto. After saying, good night, Karai, the two went to sleep. As dawn broke in Konoha, Karai and Naruto awoke at the inn and gazed out the window. What a day, Karai said. I'll still never feel like a morning person no matter where we're at, said Naruto. Come on, let's get ready and see what Sensei has planned, said Karai, rolling her eyes, as the two prepared themselves. Today I need to go over more with the Hokage, and you three fortunately aren't needed to train with the academy students today, Tatsu said as the three genin soon knelt before him. Hun started, in other words, but Naruto completed. It's a free day for us. Exactly, you're free to do what you want, but stay out of trouble. I don't want to have to explain to the Hokage or our master of any accidents, Tatsu cautioned them. Would it really be our fault if anyone from Konoha started anything with us and had to be taught a lesson? Naruto pondered, keep Naruto in check will you? Tatsu said Karai after glancing at Naruto and squinting at him through his mask. Of course, sensei, replied Karai. As Karai grinned at Naruto, he yelled out, hey! Underscore 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 the three eventually made the decision to see more of Konoha. As they strolled around the town, soaking in the sights, a number of shopkeepers and locals gave them interested glances. Naruto complained to his crew, really, why don't they take a picture? It'll last longer. Hun reminded him that, we're foreigners here, Naruto, yeah, you should expect to get a lot of attention like this, said Karai. Even so, Naruto remarked as they continued. They were strolling around the park when someone said, excuse me, a man in a Konoha shinobi costume, with white hair, a mask covering his mouth up to his nose, and a headband slanted so it covered his left eye, caught the three of them off guard and turned them around. He was holding an orange book. Yes? Inquired Naruto. Sorry to bother you, but are you the foot shinobi summoned from the dragon village? Replied the man. We might be, replied Karai. Right, would you please tell me your names? As Hun said, we make it a habit to only tell our names after someone tells us there's two. The three squinted. The man shyly said, of course, I'm Kakashi Hatake, is that better? Well, Naruto said, I guess so. My name is Oroku Naruto. Oroku Karai, I am Hun, a pleasure to meet you three. How are you enjoying your stay in Konoha? Naruto acknowledged, it's been okay so far. Well, I hope you'll continue to enjoy your stay here, Kakashi replied. We'll try, said Karai. Hun remarked, see you around, as they departed. So, Sensei's son, after all this time, I know the Hokage claimed he was raised well while under the care of Oroku Saki, but still, if only I could have been there for him, Kakashi thought as he contacted Naruto to wish him a good day. Underscore 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 before arriving at a training site, Team Kappa proceeded. Not a bad training ground, Naruto said. Outside where there's sun and fresh air, Hun continued, Karai informed the boys, I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling pumped to get some training in. Naruto acknowledged, I'm feeling up for it myself. Hun glanced around and said, and it doesn't look like anybody else is using it today, Naruto remarked. Well, then, let's get to work. Soon after, the three of them began training. Hun was practicing his own taijutsu and fire jutsu, while Naruto and Karai were battling it out with their swords. Both of them were focused on winning as their swords clashed. After performing the fireball jutsu and setting off a stopwatch, Hun said with pride, yes. I just beat my record for how long I can hold a fire jutsu. A voice yelled, hold it, as Naruto and Karai were still engaged in swordplay. The two halted their battle as three individuals approached. Two of them were a female with brunette hair styled in pandier buns, a lad in a green jumpsuit with black hair in a soup bowl cut and large, thick eyebrows, and a boy with pale eyes similar to Hinata's. You better have a good reason for interrupting our spar, Naruto said, turning to face the youngster with the pale eyes. We've never seen you three around here before, said the boy with the pale eyes. Karai responded, well, maybe that's because we're not from around here, gesturing to her headband. The child remarked, so you're intruders then, with suspicion. Really? Jumping to conclusions before even getting all the facts. Hun said. Naruto hissed, you must make a lot of mistakes with an attitude like that. The boy came forward, but his buddies stopped him, saying, what? How dare you? Easy, Niji, said the girl. The boy in the jumpsuit concurred, saying, and he is right, adding that it is really impolite and unyouthful to make such charges. As Karai said, and we're not intruders, we're here on official business, the boy Niji got up. Foot Clan headbands, so you're from the Dragon Village, the girl said after noticing their headbands. Correct, said Naruto. Wow, the other youngster exclaimed, I heard that people who trained in the Foot Clan are very good at taijutsu. Karai responded, they are, among other fields as well, while clinging to her sword. The girl said, I saw your sparring from a distance. May I? Before revealing their blades to her, the two sibs exchanged glances and grinned, sensing no malice from the girl. The girl with the bun hair studied the two swords closely and remarked, marvelous craftsmanship. Naruto said, thank you, been in our family for years. The boy introduced the girl, saying, I am Rock Lee, Konoha's handsome devil. Tenten has a knack for weaponry, he posed. Karai questioned, seriously? Because his performance bothered her and her boys. This is Niji, Tenten continued, don't mind Lee. Niji remained silent until Naruto spoke. So you're of the Hyuga clan, what of it? Naruto said, oh, nothing, until someone interrupted. The man had larger eyebrows than Lee and was dressed similarly to Lee. Well, good morning, everybody, how are all of you? He asked. As they embraced, Lee exclaimed, Gai-sensei, your entrances are always so youthful. Naruto's statement, I'm ready to throw up in my mouth, startled the others. Me too, concurred Karai. Well, and who have we here? You must be the foot shinobi summoned here by the Hokage, am I right? Guy, the man, asked, glancing over at the three shinobi. According to Hun, you are, and who are you? Asked Naruto. And I must know, your sensei is the infamous Hattori Tatsu, right? He said, giving them the thumbs up. I am Konoha's noble green beast. That's right, agreed Naruto. Karai inquired, I assume you've heard of him. Oh, yes, the famous blind swordsman with a sixth sense, truly a fitting rival to any, Guy grinned. We'll be sure to let Sensei know someone from this village admires him, replied Naruto. Thank you very much, you three are certainly very capable shinobi, Lee said. With your talents I know you will go very far. Before addressing Team Kappa, Niji said, honestly, Lee, you three should really enjoy your good fortune, while it lasts. As she crossed her arms, Karai questioned, and what's that supposed to mean? Fate has decided your destinies since the day you were each born, don't bother trying to reach for anything out of your reach, you'll only make fools of yourselves, Niji stated sternly, way to be a real dick to others, scowled Naruto. Before addressing them, Guy scowled at Niji and said, I must apologize for my student's rudeness. Karai remarked, whatever, we need to go anyway, as she escorted Hun and Naruto away. Lee cried out to them, it was great to meet you all. Who the hell does that jerk think he is? Naruto snarled as Team Kappa disappeared from view. Hun observed, someone with a superiority complex, if that's his attitude towards others, I think I know where Hinata's low self-esteem stems from, Karai thought. Well, with an attitude like that one of these days it'll be his own downfall either on a mission or against an opponent, Naruto replied. We should probably not talk about it, Hun said. Otherwise it'll just wind us all up, Karai remarked. Good idea, Hun. After giving it some thought, Naruto addressed his group, saying, you know, I hear Konoha has some good hot springs here, anyone fancy a bath? Hun and Karai appeared intrigued. Underscore 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 later. Team Kappa was having a pleasant dip at Konoha's hot springs, with Karai on one side and Naruto and Hun on the other. Hun retorted, "Ah, this is relaxing," Naruto acknowledged, "even better than the ones back home sort of," before yelling, "You okay there, Karai?" Karai said, "Never better," while she was unwinding. As the 3-foot shinobi continued to unwind and let their problems go, Naruto started to meditate. It was during this meditation that he saw the Konoha forest in a large scroll, followed by the academy instructor Mizuki. However, instead of the joyful and upbeat manner they had seen him exhibit at the academy, he appeared ruthless and insane. Naruto could hear his insane laughter in his head before he woke up with a start. "Naruto?" Hun asked, turning to look. Naruto leaped out of the onsen and made his way to the changing room, saying, "I need to get out." "Karai, I think something's wrong with Naruto." Hun called over. In response, Karai called back, "I'm getting out now." "What's wrong, Naruto?" Hun asked Naruto after the three had dressed and gone outside. Karai inquired, "Did something happen?" After gathering his thoughts, Naruto said, "Guys, remember that instructor from the academy?" "Irika?" inquired Hun. "No, the other one, the white-haired man, Mizuki," inquired Karai. Naruto said, "Yes, that's the one." He asked, "What about him?" "I don't know how to explain this, but I think he may be planning to steal a scroll of jutsu from Konoha's vault," the two exclaimed in surprise. "Huh?" Karai questioned, "Naruto, how can you be sure?" "It came to me, like a premonition," Hun questioned, "and you're sure it's real?" "It felt real," Karai asked, "so what should we do, tell the Hokage or sensei?" "Wishful thinking, but I don't think it'll matter," said Naruto. "We're not from this village. You think they'll believe in the words of shinobi outside their village and with no physical proof?" Hun conceded, "He has a good point. Besides, if we tell the Hokage his putting others on high alert could also unintentionally be noticed by Mizuki," Karai inquired, "so what are you saying?" Naruto grinned and said, "We'll catch him in the act ourselves." Karai inquired startledly. Hun cautioned him, "That's very risky," but Naruto arched a brow and the large man went on, "I like it." After nodding, Naruto turned to face Karai and asked, "What about you?" "Well, it is risky, but this is what we were trained for. I'm in," she replied. Naruto established the plan, saying, "Good, so tonight we sneak out at lights out," since they were not aware that the Hokage had been observing them through his crystal ball. Underscore 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 underscore. Team Kappa was discreetly prepared for their stakeout that night when they went to bed. They crept out of the inn window and made their way to the woodland. Hun questioned, "Are you sure we're getting to the spot where you spotted Mizuki?" as Karai and Hun jumped from tree to tree in imitation of Naruto. Naruto responded, "Of course I'm sure," and they went on. Before Naruto stopped them, they leaped a few more trees. "What's up?" Kurai said. Naruto responded, "He's close, I can feel it," as they noticed a man approaching from the front. Naruto remarked, "There he is," as they held their ground until the white-haired instructor himself appeared with a large scroll. A group of kunai nearly pierced Mizuki as he was sprinting through the forest, but he managed to avoid the blows and looked up to see the 3-foot shinobi land in front of him. Kurai replied, "You seem to be in a big hurry," with suspicion. Mizuki put on an act and asked, "What are you three doing out at this hour?" Naruto shot back, "We could say the same for you," Hun remarked suspiciously, "You don't look like you're on patrol or anything, and that's a big scroll you got there. Why would you be running in this direction and away from where a scroll like that should be locked away?" Naruto asked. Mizuki frowned and said, "I don't think that's any of your concern." In response, Naruto said, "Why not? We're shinobi and when we see trouble we investigate." Kurai accused, "You stole that scroll, didn't you?" Mizuki hissed, "What if I did? What are you going to do about it?" When Hun said, "Simple, we're going to stop you, you stop me?" "You must be joking," Mizuki said with a giggle. "We are not," replied Naruto. Kurai commanded, "Drop the scroll now and give yourself up." Mizuki hurled a large shuriken at them, saying, "How about no?" After Team Kappa ducked the approaching weapon, Mizuki took off. Naruto said, "After him," and they followed. "Guys, throw me ahead," Naruto thought as the 3 genin hurried after Mizuki. "You got it," Kurai remarked as Hun and Kurai positioned themselves behind Naruto, seized him, and flung him forward, enabling him to tackle Mizuki to the ground. The scroll rolled up to a tree when Naruto knocked it off Mizuki's back when they struck the ground. Mizuki threw Naruto off and stood up to find Naruto peering down at him. Mizuki grinned and said, "What a shame you won't be going home to the Dragon Village." Naruto assumed a position and said, "Don't underestimate me." Mizuki and Naruto engaged in a head-on taijutsu battle until Mizuki called forth another large shuriken for defense and Naruto pulled his sword to attack. Naruto screamed, "Why would you steal a scroll from your own village? Let's just say I know some people in high places who would award me gratefully for the secrets in this scroll," Mizuki grumbled. Naruto scowled and said, "You're nothing but a traitor." Mizuki responded, "And you're just a brat who needs to know his place," while pushing Naruto away and hurling his shuriken at him. After jumping and dodging the incoming bullet that impaled a tree in a matrix twist, Naruto landed and witnessed Hun and Kurai arriving on the scene. He cried out, "Guys! Ah, how fitting your teammates are here to see your demise. Once I kill you and your team, I'll see to it the Hokage will think you attempted to steal the scroll and assassinate me, the hero who stopped you, and your sensei will be charged as well with life imprisonment." Naruto peered at Mizuki until the 2 Chunin Izumo and Kotetsu arrived on the scene and shouted, "Mizuki! Thank goodness you made it, Izumo! Kotetsu! These foot shinobi tried to steal the scroll of forbidden jutsu. I've managed to catch them, and now that you're here we can arrest them properly," Mizuki said, grinning at the timing. Izumo said, "You're lying, Mizuki," with a grimace. "What?" Mizuki inquired. Kotetsu responded, "And we don't like liars," and the 2 shinobi, Hun and Kurai, were exposed in a puff of smoke. "What?" Mizuki exclaimed, smirking. Naruto said, "Gotcha." Mizuki went to the other Kurai and Hun who had arrived earlier, who identified themselves as the true Izumo and Kotetsu. "But then, who are," she said. "Mizuki, you not only betray our village, but lie as well," Izumo said. Kotetsu cautioned him, if anyone is going to be imprisoned for life, it's you." After scowling at this deceit, Mizuki grabbed a smoke grenade and said, "Not a chance." He flung it to the ground, generating a smokescreen. The 3-foot shinobi were able to break through the smokescreen and see where Mizuki had fled. They resolutely followed him, and as they pursued the rogue once more, Karai and Hun parted ways with Naruto. Mizuki thought he would be able to escape, but Karai ambushed him from the side and knocked him against a tree. When Mizuki stood up, Hun appeared with hand signals, saying, "Fire style, fire dragon bomb." He shot a burst of flame out of his mouth toward Mizuki. Before Mizuki could be caught in the flames, Karai swiftly grabbed the scroll. He fell on the ground, covered in burns, but he got back up. "I will not allow a group of brats to overcome me," he said. Naruto moved forward Mizuki and said, "That's where you're wrong, traitor," making hand gestures. "The next generation will always and eventually surpass the last generation, and I will prove that by stopping you," he said. "What? Clone jutsu with multiple shades?" When Naruto yelled, an army of Narutos suddenly surrounded Mizuki. They all battled Mizuki, who was unable to handle them all and was left battered to a pulp. When Hun, Karai, Izumo, and Kotetsu arrived on the scene, Mizuki was knocked out and Naruto was carrying the scroll. "Naruto!" As she hurried to him with Hun, Karai called. "Are you okay?" Hun asked. "Never better," answered Naruto. As Izumo started to say, "That was good work you did there," the two Chunin approached. "Thank you, but how did you guys find out about this place?" Naruto inquired. "We ran into your teammates and decided to switch positions to trick Mizuki," said Kotetsu. "Well, you're right to do that, but how did you even know what was happening?" Naruto pondered. After Hiruzen and Tatsu arrived, the Hokage said, "Because of me, I have ways of seeing what goes on in the village, Naruto, and I was aware of your plan to catch Mizuki on your own, so, sensei, did you?" Karai asked, turning to face Tatsu. "Yes, I was briefed on your plan, but was told to let you go through with it. After watching your display here I'm glad I did." Hiruzen talked to Naruto. "I understand you had reluctance with wanting to tell us about Mizuki, but remember, Naruto, I know you more than you think. I will always listen to you. Have faith in not only your teammates, but with allies as well." After giving it some thinking, Naruto concluded that the Hokage was correct. "Yes, sir," Hiruzen grinned. "Good, now then, Izumo and Kotetsu will be taking Mizuki to Konoha's jail, the rest of you return to the inn to get some rest. It's been quite a night," Karai responded. "No kidding," as the group chuckled. Underscore 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 underscore. Well, now, I am proud to say your mission has been completed, said Teen Kappa as they stood in front of Hiruzen in the Hokage's office the following day. Tatsu thanked him, saying, "Arigato, Lord Hokage, arigato," the three said in gratitude. The Hokage informed the three that Lord Saki would be delighted with them for their contributions to our village. Karai grinned. "Yeah, we know he will. And, Naruto, I know Konoha will never be your home the way the Dragon Village is, but remember this, you will always have a place here even if others will say otherwise." Naruto grinned and said, "Thanks," Tatsu said, "Come on, guys, let's go home," as they departed the premises. The group spotted Hinata while strolling through the village and said, "Hey, Hinata." Karai dialed. When Hinata noticed them, she said, "Hello, where are you going to?" "According to Hun, we're heading home, really." "Oh, I was hoping you'd stay a little longer," Hinata sighed. Naruto remarked, "Sorry, but we gotta go, will we ever cross paths again?" With optimism, Hinata inquired, "For sure," said Hun. "Until then, you keep on training, and don't let anyone bring down your self-esteem," Karai said to her. "You're more capable of being a shinobi than you or anyone knows, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, not even blood," Naruto said. After blushing in response to Naruto's words of support, Hinata nodded, "Okay," as Naruto went on, "Until next time," the three grinned. Team Kappa left, with Hinata observing them and grinning with assurance. Underscore 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 After returning to the Dragon Village, Team Kappa later stood in Oroku Saki's office and gave him an explanation of everything. "You three have done well, I'm very proud of you," Saki said with a sly smile. "Thanks, Dad," replied Karai and Naruto. Hun continued, "It means a lot to us. Now then, you are dismissed until further notice, Naruto, Karai, I'll see you two at home soon," Saki said, nodding. As Team Kappa left, Naruto and Karai both nodded. "They really have potential to go far in their shinobi careers, sir," Tatsu said to Saki. Saki grinned and nodded, saying, "Yes, I know, doing good, Karai." Naruto complimented her as they engaged in swordplay in the garden of the Oroku residence. Karai said, "Not so bad yourself, Naruto," with similar admiration. The two kept slicing swords until they disarmed each other. Naruto, not wanting it to stop there, smirked and threw Karai to the ground before beginning to tickle her. In between giggles, she begged, "Naruto, stop." As they rolled across the floor, Naruto growled, "But I like to hear you laugh," while still tickling her. Karai's laughter reverberated as the two wrestled on the ground until someone cleared their throat. The two halted and turned to see Hun smirking nearby. When they realized their situation, they separated, and Naruto stumbled out, "How long were you there, Hun?" "Long enough," he replied, fighting the impulse to chuckle. With a flush, Karai protested, "This is not what it looks like." Hun said slyly, "I'm sure it isn't." Naruto wanted to change the topic, so he said, "What are you doing here, Hun?" When the huge guy said, "Sensei needs us at Lord Saki's office, we got a mission, hope it's a good one," Naruto replied. "I need to get out of the village and stretch my legs again," Karai acknowledged, "that would be nice," as the three left. Underscore 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 underscore. "Now that you're all here we can begin," Saki said as they stood in front of him in his office with Tatsu. "I've received word from the third Hokage of an experiment to help build trust between our villages," Saki said. Naruto asked, "What kind of experiment?" "He would like one of our village squads to join one of Konoha's squads, and I selected your team," said the leader. Karai questioned, a team-up mission? That's unusual, acknowledged Hun. Naruto inquired, do we know what team will be placed with? The Hokage is determining the mission and squad at the present time, but he requests you come over as soon as possible, Saki said. Tatsu replied, then we'll pack and head right over. Saki told them, then get going, and they walked out of the building. It's been a few weeks since we last set foot in Konoha, you know. Naruto said to his squad as they walked to Konoha after they had packed their necessities. Hun pondered, yeah, wonder how it's doing. Karai answered, we'll find out when we arrive. I also hope the squad we're paired up with is easy enough to work with, remarked Naruto. Hun said, you and me both, when Tatsu said, look alive, you three, they peered ahead and spotted Konoha, so they continued. We're almost there, Tatsu said. Underscore 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 underscore. When they got there, they went directly to the Hokage's office and stood in front of the third. It's good seeing you all again, the elderly man said. Karai answered, even if it's only been a couple of weeks, so you've decided to start a squad team up for a mission, replied Naruto. Correct, Naruto, I feel by having squads from other villages working together on missions can help improve our bonds as allies and even friends. So what is the mission you've requested us to assist on, Lord Third? Tatsu asked, all will be explained as your squad partners arrive, Hiruzen said, but before the door opened and Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, Kakashi Hatake, and a kid with short black hair and pale skin entered. Lord Third, said Kakashi, the Hokage said, Kakashi, Squad 7, welcome, hey, guys, said Naruto. Sasuke grinned and said, well, if it isn't Team Kappa, Hun inquired, so you all graduated, huh? Sakura said, of course we did, as Karai gave her a doubtful glance. The girl asked the pinkette, even you? Sakura shouted, what's that supposed to mean? Sakura, please relax, Kakashi said. Pardon us, but we never did get your name, Naruto said, turning to face the other youngster. He smiled and replied, my name is Sai, and I'm very pleased to be working alongside you all. Sakura questioned Team Kappa incredulously, wait, you're the squad selected to join us on this mission. She was challenged by Karai, why so surprised? Okay, everyone, rein it in, said Kakashi. Now then, this mission I've selected for both squads is a C rank, and rest assured both teams will be getting equally paid, the third Hokage said as they stood side by side. Sasuke inquired, so what's our destination? You will be part of an escort to the Wave Country, the Hokage said. Now then meet your client, Tazuna, you may come in now. An elderly man carrying a bottle of sake entered the office and stated, about time, everyone, meet Tazuna, Tazuna, meet your protection. Disappointed, the elderly man Tazuna surveyed the two squads and said, I asked for professional help, but you're leaving my fate in the hands of children. Sai seemed unconcerned as Kakashi said, rest assured, Tazuna, you're in capable hands, while 5 of the genin scowled. Tazuna continued to remain suspicious about the team, very well, alright you lot, the thing is I'm a bridge builder from my home country and am currently working on a new bridge. I came here to Konoha for supplies and now I have to get back home, but I worry about being targeted, Naruto muttered to Hun, who was equally interested. If he could get here without an escort, then why should he have a problem getting back without one? Hang on, why would you feel threatened about being targeted, was another question that Suku had. Karai said, yeah, who would want to waste their time going after a bridge builder? You have no idea, Tazuna said to himself. He said, alright then, Squad 7, go on home and pack, let's meet at the gates in 10, as they exited the building, Squad 7's Genin responded, hi. As Team Kappa and Kakashi led Tazuna to the village's entrance, Tatsu informed Hiruzen, we'll go on ahead and wait by the gates. Underscore 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 After waiting for Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai to arrive, Kakashi gave the order, okay, now that we're all here, let's get moving, with the two Jonin leading the way. So, Tazuna, this bridge you're building, is there something really important about it? Naruto, who had been traveling close to Tazuna, determined to find out as the Jonin and their Genin continued to keep a lookout along the tree-lined trail. Let's just say this bridge will be solving a lot of problems in my country, Tazuna said, glancing at Naruto. This baffled the Genin until they saw a puddle of water in the road. Team Kappa, Sasuke, and Sai, the two Jonin, were most interested in it but remained silent. As they all passed the puddle, a person wearing a tattered cloak and a breather mask came out of it and used one of his enormous gauntlets to launch a spiked chain. Naruto yelled, watch out! As he and Karai leaped in and deflected the chain back to the assailant with their swords. How did you know? He questioned after avoiding the chain and landing on the ground. Naruto responded, that puddle trick may fool a First Academy student, but not us. As the four Genin approached Tazuna, Tatsu said, Hun, Sai, Sakura, Sasuke, guard Tazuna. When the shinobi said, brother, now. Another shinobi wearing breather masks appeared behind Kakashi and Tatsu. Both Jonin leaped to escape the attack. As Kakashi said, Meizu and Gozu, the demon brothers of the mist, the two Jonin and Oriku's siblings watched the pair stand together. Tatsu asked, why would two shinobi like you be out here? Gozu responded, we're here for the bridge builder. Meizu cautioned him, now move aside before we make you. Sternly, you're not laying a hand on Tazuna, Naruto replied. Meizu said, brother, let's go, Gozu said, let's, and the two ran after them. Tatsu sighed and moved forward, saying, oh, these children. When the demon brothers thought they had hit Tatsu, they were shocked when each of their metal gauntlets snapped. They gasped, what? But were slugged by both Karai and Naruto. The demon brothers then flew back and struck a tree, knocking them out. Good work, everyone, Kakashi said, praising everyone. What's going on? Sakura said bewilderedly. Kakashi went to Tazuna and said, that's what we'd like to know. Tazuna, you knew you would be targeted by Nuke-Nin level shinobi, didn't you? He asked. As all eyes were on the bridge building, Sasuke questioned, what? Tatsu said, missions that involve the possibility of being targeted by shinobi like these two is above the rank of C. Okay, you got me, but I had a good reason for not telling you the truth, Tazuna admitted after realizing there was no way out of this situation. Hun stated, we're all ears, I couldn't afford anything higher than a C rank, Tazuna said. The wave country is poverty-stricken, even those richer than others are penniless, Kurai questioned. How is that possible? It all started when Gato moved in on our land. Gato? Inquired Sakura. As in Gato of Gato Shippings, said Sai. The very same, said Tazuna. Ever since he moved in he started running protection rackets and other schemes to drain people out of their money. Anyone who tried to stand up to him ended up murdered, but the bridge I'm building can put a stop to it. How so? Inquired Hun. Gato controls the waters in our country, but with my bridge we can bypass it and never be forced to rely on him again, Naruto acknowledged. That does sound like a very solid plan, yeah, but who's to say Gato wouldn't try to find ways around Tazuna's loophole, replied Kurai. I'm sorry I lied to all of you, I wouldn't blame you for leaving me, Tazuna said, hanging his head in sorrow. When Kakashi said, now I wouldn't go saying that, sensei, inquired Sakura. The Jonin said, we'll continue with the mission. Tatsu nodded and said, agreed. Tazuna said, thank you, and thanked them. Naruto gestured at the unconscious brothers and asked, but what about them? Before sending a ninja hound back to Konoha, Kakashi and Tatsu quickly surrounded the two Nukenin tightly. He'll inform the village of these two and our current situation, Kakashi informed Tazuna and the others. Tatsu replied, come on, let's keep moving, as they continued. Naruto was thinking deeply as they were walking, so this operation is going to involve Nukenin now? I might be witnessing the true fighting style of shinobi outside of my community. Zabuza, those brothers you sent on my behalf have failed, said a short man sitting in a forest inside a headquarters, who was staring at a very tall man who was seated on a couch and holding a huge sword. If they couldn't kill a simple merchant, then they weren't cut out for the job, the guy known as Zabuza responded. I'm warning you, unless that old man is dead you won't receive any payment from me, scowled the man who was Gato. Zabuza said, don't worry, Gato, I'll deal with them myself now, as he seizes his blade and stands up. Gato said, see that you do, and Zabuza walked away without saying anything more. Doing good, Kurai, Naruto complimented her as they engaged in swordplay in the garden of the Oraku residence. Kurai said, not so bad yourself, Naruto, with similar admiration. The two kept slicing swords until they disarmed each other. Naruto, not wanting it to stop there, smirked and threw Kurai to the ground before beginning to tickle her. In between giggles, she begged, Naruto, stop. As they rolled across the floor, Naruto growled, but I like to hear you laugh, while still tickling her. Kurai's laughter reverberated as the two wrestled on the ground until someone cleared their throat. The two halted and turned to see Hun smirking nearby. When they realized their situation, they separated, and Naruto stumbled out, how long were you there, Hun? Long enough, he replied, fighting the impulse to chuckle. With a flush, Kurai protested, this is not what it looks like. Hun said slyly, I'm sure it isn't. Naruto wanted to change the topic, so he said, what are you doing here, Hun? When the huge guy said, Sensei needs us at Lord Saki's office, we got a mission, hope it's a good one, Naruto replied. I need to get out of the village and stretch my legs again, Kurai acknowledged, that would be nice, as the three left. Underscore 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 underscore. Now that you're all here we can begin. Saki said as they stood in front of him in his office with Tatsu. I've received word from the third Hokage of an experiment to help build trust between our villages, Saki said. Naruto asked, what kind of experiment? He would like one of our village squads to join one of Konoha's squads, and I selected your team, said the leader. Kurai questioned, a team-up mission? That's unusual, acknowledged Hun. Naruto inquired, do we know what team will be placed with? The Hokage is determining the mission and squad at the present time, but he requests you come over as soon as possible, Saki said. Tatsu replied, then we'll pack and head right over. Saki told them, then get going, and they walked out of the building. It's been a few weeks since we last set foot in Konoha, you know. Naruto said to his squad as they walked to Konoha after they had packed their necessities. Hun pondered, yeah, wonder how it's doing. Kurai answered, we'll find out when we arrive. I also hope the squad we're paired up with is easy enough to work with, remarked Naruto. Hun said, you and me both, when Tatsu said, look alive, you three, they peered ahead and spotted Konoha, so they continued. We're almost there, Tatsu said. Underscore 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 underscore. When they got there, they went directly to the Hokage's office and stood in front of the third. It's good seeing you all again, the elderly man said. Kurai answered, even if it's only been a couple of weeks, so you've decided to start a squad team-up for a mission, replied Naruto. Correct, Naruto, I feel by having squads from other villages working together on missions can help improve our bonds as allies and even friends, so what is the mission you've requested us to assist on, Lord Third? Tatsu asked, all will be explained as your squad partners arrive, Hiruzen said, but before the door opened and Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, Kakashi Hitaki, and a kid with short black hair and pale skin entered. Lord Third, said Kakashi, the Hokage said, Kakashi, Squad 7, welcome, hey, guys, said Naruto. Sasuke grinned and said, well, if it isn't Team Kappa, Hun inquired, so you all graduated, huh? Sakura said, of course we did, as Kurai gave her a doubtful glance. The girl asked the pinkette, even you? Sakura shouted, what's that supposed to mean? Sakura, please relax, Kakashi said. Pardon us, but we never did get your name, Naruto said, turning to face the other youngster. He smiled and replied, my name is Sai, and I'm very pleased to be working alongside you all. Sakura questioned Team Kappa incredulously, wait, you're the squad selected to join us on this mission. She was challenged by Kurai, why so surprised? Okay, everyone, rein it in, said Kakashi. Now then, this mission I've selected for both squads is a C rank, and rest assured both teams will be getting equally paid, the third Hokage said as they stood side by side. Sasuke inquired, so what's our destination? You will be part of an escort to the Wave Country, the Hokage said. Now then meet your client, Tazuna, you may come in now. An elderly man carrying a bottle of sake entered the office and stated, about time, everyone, meet Tazuna, Tazuna, meet your protection. Disappointed, the elderly man Tazuna surveyed the two squads and said, I asked for professional help, but you're leaving my fate in the hands of children. Sai seemed unconcerned as Kakashi said, rest assured, Tazuna, you're in capable hands, while 5 of the genin scowled. Tazuna continued to remain suspicious about the team. Very well, alright you lot, the thing is I'm a bridge builder from my home country and am currently working on a new bridge. I came here to Konoha for supplies and now I have to get back home, but I worry about being targeted, Naruto muttered to Hun, who was equally interested. If he could get here without an escort, then why should he have a problem getting back without one? Hang on, why would you feel threatened about being targeted, was another question that Suku had. Kurai said, yeah, who would want to waste their time going after a bridge builder? You have no idea, Tazuna said to himself. He said, alright then, Squad 7, go on home and pack, let's meet at the gates in 10, as they exited the building, Squad 7's genin responded, hi. As Team Kappa and Kakashi led Tazuna to the village's entrance, Tatsu informed Hiruzen, we'll go on ahead and wait by the gates. Underscore 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 underscore. After waiting for Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai to arrive, Kakashi gave the order, okay, now that we're all here, let's get moving, with the 2 jonin leading the way. So, Tazuna, this bridge you're building, is there something really important about it? Naruto, who had been traveling close to Tazuna, determined to find out as the jonin and their genin continued to keep a lookout along the tree-lined trail. Let's just say this bridge will be solving a lot of problems in my country, Tazuna said, glancing at Naruto. This baffled the genin until they saw a puddle of water in the road. Team Kappa, Sasuke, and Sai, the 2 jonin, were most interested in it but remained silent. As they all passed the puddle, a person wearing a tattered cloak and a breather mask came out of it and used one of his enormous gauntlets to launch a spiked chain. Naruto yelled, watch out! As he and Kurai leaped in and deflected the chain back to the assailant with their swords. How did you know? He questioned after avoiding the chain and landing on the ground. Naruto responded, that puddle trick may fool a First Academy student, but not us. As the 4 genin approached Tazuna, Tatsu said, Hun, Sai, Sakura, Sasuke, guard Tazuna. When the shinobi said, brother, now. Another shinobi wearing breather masks appeared behind Kakashi and Tatsu. Both jonin leaped to escape the attack. As Kakashi said, Meizu and Gozu, the demon brothers of the mist, the 2 jonin and Oriku's siblings watched the pair stand together. Tatsu asked, why would 2 shinobi like you be out here? Gozu responded, we're here for the bridge builder. Meizu cautioned him, now move aside before we make you. Sternly, you're not laying a hand on Tazuna, Naruto replied. Meizu said, brother, let's go, Gozu said, let's, and the 2 ran after them. Tatsu sighed and moved forward, saying, oh, these children. When the demon brothers thought they had hit Tatsu, they were shocked when each of their metal gauntlets snapped. They gasped, what? But were slugged by both Kurai and Naruto. The demon brothers then flew back and struck a tree, knocking them out. Good work, everyone, Kakashi said, praising everyone. What's going on? Sakura said bewilderedly. Kakashi went to Tazuna and said, that's what we'd like to know. Tazuna, you knew you would be targeted by Nuke level shinobi, didn't you? He asked. As all eyes were on the bridge building, Sasuke questioned, what? Tatsu said, Missions that involve the possibility of being targeted by shinobi like these two is above the rank of C. Okay, you got me, but I had a good reason for not telling you the truth, Tazuna admitted after realizing there was no way out of this situation. Hun stated, "We're all ears, I couldn't afford anything higher than a C rank," Tazuna said. The wave country is poverty-stricken, even those richer than others are penniless, Kurai questioned. How is that possible? It all started when Gato moved in on our land, Gato, inquired Sakura. As in Gato of Gato Shippings, said Sai. The very same, said Tazuna. Ever since he moved in he started running protection rackets and other schemes to drain people out of their money. Anyone who tried to stand up to him ended up murdered, but the bridge I'm building can put a stop to it. How so? Inquired Hun. Gato controls the waters in our country, but with my bridge we can bypass it and never be forced to rely on him again, Naruto acknowledged. That does sound like a very solid plan, yeah. But who's to say Gato wouldn't try to find ways around Tazuna's loophole, replied Kurai. I'm sorry I lied to all of you, I wouldn't blame you for leaving me, Tazuna said, hanging his head in sorrow. When Kakashi said, now I wouldn't go saying that, sensei, inquired Sakura. The Jonin said, we'll continue with the mission, Tatsu nodded and said, agreed, Tazuna said, thank you, and thanked them. Naruto gestured at the unconscious brothers and asked, but what about them? Before sending a ninja hound back to Konoha, Kakashi and Tatsu quickly surrounded the two Nukenin tightly. He'll inform the village of these two and our current situation, Kakashi informed Tazuna and the others. Tatsu replied, come on, let's keep moving, as they continued. Naruto was thinking deeply as they were walking, so this operation is going to involve Nukenin now? I might be witnessing the true fighting style of shinobi outside of my community. Zabuza, those brothers you sent on my behalf have failed, said a short man sitting in a forest inside a headquarters, who was staring at a very tall man who was seated on a couch and holding a huge sword. If they couldn't kill a simple merchant, then they weren't cut out for the job, the guy known as Zabuza responded. I'm warning you, unless that old man is dead you won't receive any payment from me, scowled the man who was Gato. Zabuza said, don't worry, Gato, I'll deal with them myself now, as he seizes his blade and stands up. Gato said, see that you do, and Zabuza walked away without saying anything more. Tazuna made the decision to learn more about the ninja protecting him while the Dragon Village and Konoha teams proceeded along the woodland trail toward Wave Country. I've only heard rumors about the infamous Foot Clan, and based off the way you guys fought the rumors were true. Yes, we of the Foot Clan are a ninja group no one would dare mess with, replied Naruto. Kurai said, unless you want to find out the hard way, you two must be proud being the children of your village leader. We sure are, Kurai said on their behalf since Naruto was unsure of how to react and still knew he wasn't Orokusaki's biological child. Naruto grinned, relieved that he wouldn't have to lie. We should be reaching our destination soon, said Kakashi, but they abruptly stopped when they heard a ruffle in the bushes. A white rabbit jumped out in fear when Hun strained his eyes and threw a kunai toward the bush. In relief, Sakura breathed, it's just a rabbit with a white coat in the middle of this time of year? Sai asked the others, but they were dubious after seeing the bunny. With his unique sense of hearing, Tatsu noticed something approaching and exclaimed, everyone, down. As a big sword swung in and nailed a tree, everyone struck the ground. When they glanced up to see the weapon, Hun gasped and asked, where did that come from? From me, a voice said as Zabuza materialized out of nowhere and withdrew his sword from the tree. Naruto exclaimed, "That guy's huge," and Karai continued, "Just like his sword, that sword and your mist headband, you must be the infamous Zabuza Momochi, the demon of Kiri," said Kakashi, squinting at the man. Adding, "How quaint," Tatsu Zabuza laughed. "It's so hard to blend in with a reputation like mine, and based off both your appearances, you are Konoha's Kakashi of the Sharingan." Sharingan? Sasuke inquired bewilderedly. Tatsu looked at Zabuza. "And based off that demon mask, your headband, and the fact you could hear my sword coming so quickly, you are the Foot Clan's famous blind swordsman." "Hattori Tatsu, you're right," the swordsman said. Naruto gasped, "Zabuza Momochi?" Because with equal surprise, Karai remarked, "Oh, man, this is beyond what I was expecting." Kakashi asked, "So you're targeting Tazuna as well?" "Yes," Zabuza said, clutching the hilt of his blade, "I have to clean up their mess because those stupid brothers failed." Tatsu cautioned him, "There's no way we're letting you near Tazuna. At all costs, everyone, keep the client safe." As the 6 genins surrounded Tazuna, Kakashi gave the order, "Letting little kids handle an elderly man's life? You'll quickly come to regret that decision," Zabuza cautioned them. Tatsu replied, "Don't be so sure," taking off his demon mask. Underscore 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 underscore. The Mist Ninja used his enormous blade to try to take down both squad leaders as they clashed with Zabuza, but Tatsu's hearing and Kakashi's experience allowed them to hold their own. "Who is that man?" Sakura inquired as they kept Tazuna safe. "Zabuza Momochi," replied Karai. "From what we learned at the academy, he's a former mist shinobi from the land of Kiri." Naruto went on, "Like Kakashi said, he has a reputation as the demon of the mist. He used to work on the assassination group, and was also one of the legendary 7 shinobi swordsmen. But years ago the group disbanded after a failed attempt in the assassination of the Mizukage." "Not bad, youngsters," Zabuza said, making hand gestures, "Water dragon jutsu, water style." At a nearby lake, he formed a dragon projectile out of water and attacked Kakashi and Tatsu, who managed to avoid it. "I might as well go all out if it's going to get this intense," Kakashi remarked, lifting his headband to expose one eye that was crimson with 3 black tomo marks. "Not at all." Sasuke let out a gasp. Zabuza narrowed his eyes and said, "So that's the Sharingan," as Kakashi confronted him. "What is the matter with his eye?" Tazuna inquired, "Isn't that the Sharingan, Sasuke?" Naruto inquired of the boy. "That's right," said Sasuke. "Sharingan?" As Sasuke clarified, Tazuna inquired, "It's supposed to be an ocular bloodline known only to my family. It allows the user to track the movements of an opponent before said opponent even makes them." Kakashi imitated Zabuza's hand signals and made his own water dragon jutsu when he used it once more. The 2 water dragons met, splattering water everywhere. Sakura gulped. "Sensei just used the water dragon jutsu like Zabuza. Another power of the Sharingan allows the user to copy the hand signs or just about any jutsu," Sasuke stated. "Amazing," exclaimed Hun. When Tatsu faced Zabuza sword to sword, he became irritated with Kakashi's mental manipulation by imitating all of his motions. "Enough of this, let's see how well you fight in this," he said, forming hand signals, hidden mist jutsu. Abruptly, the surrounding air began to thicken, and soon a dense fog enveloped the region. What's going on? Since they could hardly see anything, not even one another, Tazuna peered around. This is the concealed mist jutsu that Zabuza is known for. Kakashi dialed, looking around. Naruto said, I can't see a thing, reminding them, nobody move, we have to protect Tazuna. Sasuke Tatsu yelled, clever trick, Zabuza, unfortunately, your technique has no effect on me since I'm already blind. That may be, Zabuza said, echoing through the fog from all sides of them, but can your keen hearing spare you from my other specialty? What other area of expertise? Sakura questioned her equally unaware crew, the method of the silent kill. As he and Tatsu braced themselves, Kakashi gasped. Suddenly, two Zabuzas were about to attack each other with a kunai. Just when it appeared that the two would be mortally killed, logs took their place. Gosh! When the two Jonin returned and attacked them, Zabuza swore. The one Tatsu engaged in combat was flung backward and abruptly vanished into the ocean. After hearing the splash, Tatsu surmised, so a water clone, how did you escape my murder? Zabuza insisted, true, the silent kill technique is extremely silent, but when you've trained like we have, even that can be avoided, Tatsu responded. Zabuza responded, I'll have to remember that for next time, as he re-engaged the two, who were intent on preventing Zabuza from disappearing into the mist. Underscore 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 underscore. I know both our senseis are strong, but I hope they're both strong enough against someone like Zabuza, Naruto said as the genin continued to protect Tazuna. I hope so too, replied Hun. Another Zabuza appeared abruptly behind them, saying, surprise. He tried to cut Tazuna and the children, but Hun, Sai, and Sasuke shoved Sakura and Tazuna aside. Naruto and Kurai swiftly pulled out their own swords and used them to block Zabuza's large sword. Kurai strained, oh, man, I don't think our blades are strong enough, remain firm. As they attempted to hold Zabuza at bay but, in all honesty, were beginning to feel the weight of Zabuza's blade bearing down, Naruto gave the order. You kids fight well, as far as foot ninja go, but compared to me you are still novices, Zabuza's water clone said when the two step-siblings finally managed to escape and leap back to avoid the full chop. Naruto frowned and said, typical words from an adult, you believe that wearing your village headband makes you a ninja? Until you've experienced what I have, you have no idea what it means to be a shinobi, Zabuza said sarcastically. Even before I was a shinobi, I had already stained my hands with blood. What? Sakura let out a gasp. What is he discussing? Sai pondered, decades ago, the land of Kiri was very different place, especially the academy, said Zabuza's clone, upon noticing their interest, and choosing to educate them while the real one persisted in fighting Zabuza and Tatsu. What are you saying? Kurai inquired. At the academy we were put into pairs and for our final exam had to fight literally to the death, Sakura said with surprise. Whoa, oh, yes, and me, well I wasn't even in the exam, and I murdered the entire class, Sasuke said. You killed a whole class of academy students, while Naruto and Sasuke gazed at the man in shock. Yes, and I held no remorse for that. I worked my way up through the ninja ranks becoming infamous for silent killing, Eventually I joined the 7 swordsmen of Kiri and gained my signature blade as you've seen it. However, my loyalty with Kiri didn't last forever, for as things descended into the years of the Bloody Mist, most of my fellow comrades were killed or went rogue. I was one of them. Since then I wandered the ninja land in search for work or just killed out of sport. Geez, said Naruto. You see, you're simply kids playing shinobi until you've experienced the same kinds of hardships as me. The clone chuckled. The boy said, we don't play around. Naruto and the genin narrowed their gaze. He swiftly called forth hundreds of shadow clones. Naruto. As the Naruto armada assaulted the water clone, who killed half of them with his clone sword, Hun and Karai screamed out. Impressive creating so many shadow clones, but not even an army of you is enough to crush me, Naruto replied smugly. I wasn't attempting to smash you, I was only procrastinating. Now. What? Sasuke and Karai launched kunai with paper bombs attached, striking the clone in the back. The 2 tags lit, blowing the clone into a puddle as the clone gasped. All right. Sakura applauded. I got to admit, those kids are very resourceful, Zabuza said to the parents as he turned to face his defeated clone. Tatsu affirmed that they are, however, not even they can save you. Zabuza was about to attack again, only to find his legs stuck. What is? He looked down, seeing black and white tiger creatures clutching his legs, holding them in place. What are these things? It came out that Sai, who was near Sakura, Tazuna, and Hun, was holding a paintbrush and an open scroll. You've fallen prey to my super beast scroll technique, replied Sai. Are those sketches? Karai inquired startledly. Sakura said, Sai's jutsu allows him to bring creatures that he paints to life. As Sasuke acknowledged, it's handy for offense, defense, and recon. Sai laughed and said, guys, you're embarrassing me, enough of this. With his blade, Zabuza killed the creatures, transforming them into ink blobs. Zabuza, are you still craving more? Tatsu inquired. Kakashi continued, because we can do this all day. Zabuza told them, you won't have all day, until he sensed a tremendous amount of heat rising from behind. The mist ninja gasped and was flung across the ground, striking a tree hard enough to shatter it, as the blind ninja pressed his hands to Zabuza. He spun to see Sasuke and Hun both use the fireball jutsu, which combined to create an even larger fireball that was directly headed for the swordsman. Zabuza quickly used another water dragon to repel it, but he felt someone approaching from behind him. Whoa! Sakura let out a gasp. Not at all. Sasuke was likewise taken aback. That technique you used on me, was that really? Zabuza moaned, turning to face Tatsu. Yes, Tatsu said. The Shredder, a technique created by the Foot Clan in its early days and known only to high-ranking individuals like myself and my master Orokusaki, is the Sato Ashi strike. He gasped as he fell to one knee. Sensei! Naruto and his group exclaimed, while it's a power technique, it does come with its drawbacks, Tatsu complained. Kakashi reassured Tatsu, don't worry, I don't think Zabuza will be going anywhere now. Zabuza snarled as he fought to stand up, but someone nailed him in the neck, causing him to collapse dead. As the mist began to clear, the shinobi became protective and noticed a mask-wearing figure coming. Arigato, I've been tailing Zabuza for quite some time, thanks to you guys I finally have him, they said. Who are you? Inquired Tazuna. Kakashi questioned, a tracker ninja, I assume. Correct, the man replied, I was tasked with locating Zabuza and bringing in his body to be properly disposed of. When Kakashi checked Zabuza's pulse and announced, "No vital signs, he really is dead," the genin, particularly Tazuna, sighed with relief. "Now if you'll excuse me, I must go, thank you again," said the child, who went by Zabuza, before vanishing with Zabuza's body. "So that's it?" inquired Hun. "It looks that way," Naruto said. "That was scary," Sakura said, shuddering. Kurai said, "We better get out of here," while she and Hun assisted their sensei in standing up. Tazuna remarked, "My daughter and grandson might be worried, we should hurry," just before Kakashi collapsed. Sakura, Sasuke, and Sai raced up to him and yelled, "Kakashi-sensei." "Guess I overdid it there," Kakashi moaned, putting his headband back over his Sharingan eye to protect what little chakra he still had. "Here, let's get into my home, my daughter is fairly good at treating wounds," Tazuna said. "And Tatsu can rest there as well," Naruto remarked, "then we better hurry," as the genin assisted their senseis, with Tazuna leading the way. However, they were unaware that the hunter ninja had been observing them depart through the woods and mused, "I've never seen anyone match Zabuza the way they did together, and these shinobi are truly formidable. He won't be in a good mood when he wakes up," he said, and he left.